across the World Wide Web at RacerTV.com as we welcome you to this 11th round of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the AMSOIL GNCC Series and the Rocky Mountain ATVMC Mountaineer Run GNCC. And of course, we've got ourselves a great day on tap with round number 11, live from Masontown, West Virginia, across the globe at RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin here along with Johnny Gallagher today, and of course Megawatt Matt Watson as the stage is set, and it's time to meet our starting lineup for this, the Mountaineer Run GNCC. Rolling to the line first today, he rides aboard the number 1. He is the 3-time defending GNCC champion on board an FMF KTM back machine out of Boonville, North Carolina, Caleb Russell. Second today, he rides aboard the number 114, a former Grand National Cross Country champion out of Australia, riding aboard a Rockstar Energy Husqvarna factory racing Bellray Husqvarna. Rolling to the line third today in points, he rides aboard the number 7, recently married over the long summer break out of Cookeville, Tennessee, on the Westfield Power Sports KTM presented by Moose Racing, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, aboard the number 314 out of Belton, South Carolina, on an Infab Am-Pro Yamaha, former 2-time XC2 Pro Lights champion, Grant Baylor. And rolling to the line next, his big brother, riding aboard the number 514. He is a former XC2 Pro Lights champion as well as former National Enduro champion on a KTM SRT KTM from Belton, South Carolina, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 5, one of West Virginia's own, on a Rocky Mountain ATVMC KR4 Arrive and Ride Team Husqvarna from Williamstown, West Virginia, Thad Duhall. Rolling to the line next today, he rides aboard the number 4 from Crown Point, Indiana, on a JCR Racing Honda, Chris Bach. Next to the line, the number 212 from Duvall, Washington, on an MCS Racing Suzuki, backed by Obermeyer, Kenda, MX Tech, and Fly Racing. He's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. Next up, aboard the number 264, not only is he one of America's great motocross racers, but he's also last year's ISDE overall champion out of Ekron, Kentucky, on a Coastal Racing Rockstar Husqvarna, Ryan Sipes. And rolling to the line next, aboard the number 55 from Wellington, Ohio, on an MCS Racing Kawasaki, Scotty. Rolling to the line next, he hails from France. He is a 2-time World Enduro champion and former ISD overall champion on a Beta USA Motul Kenda Tire Beta, Johnny Albert. Rolling to the line next, aboard the 121 from Logan, Ohio, on a KTM SRT KTM, Corey Buttrick. Former and 4-time National Enduro champion, working on championship number 5 on an FMF KTM factory racing KTM, Russell Bobbitt. And last and certainly not least, a former XC2 Pro Lights champion hailing from England on a low jacks racing Yamaha backed by JTR Off-Road, UKJT, Jason Thomas. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer Run GNCC as they fire them back up and warm them up one final time before the green flag waves. And these riders tackle Marvin's Mountaintop and this 11th round of the Grand National Cross Country Championship. Folks that are watching at home, we couldn't ask for better conditions than what we're faced with right here today, high atop this mountain. A nice little soft breeze that is blowing, keeping the air cool. We got beautiful sunshine raining down on us and only about 77 degrees on the thermometer. And that is making for perfect race conditions here today in West Virginia in our homecoming, if you will, from the shadows of the Racer Productions office located just minutes away in Morgantown, West Virginia. Right now, our field of nearly 200 competitors are readying themselves to tackle this 11-plus mile-long racetrack that has some of the toughest terrain that these riders will have to traverse in 2016. Lots and lots of rock gardens and lots of hill climbs that these riders are going to have to face today, presenting them with, like we said, some of the greatest challenges that off-road has to offer. 1 minute, guys, 1 minute before the waving of the green flag and the starting of this 11th round of GNCC racing as we all turn our attention to Ricky Towery up near turn number 1. And that all next important call coming up, the one that gets it all started and gets us all excited, and that's that 30-second call to let us know we're only moments away. And there it is, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's time to go. And I got to ask you, West Virginia race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Come on, West Virginia. This is the home state. We're only moments away from our headquarters. I'm going to ask you one more time. You come from the heartland of GNCC, so I know you got the heart. Let's hear it right here. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And road number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling here at our Mountaineer Run GNCC. $250 up for grabs in an All Balls Wiseco Performance Hole Shot Award. Round the first turn, it's roughing around Ricky Russell. He's going to grab the $250. The 116 of Johnny Albert from France leading this one, though, as he threads the needle out of turn number 2. Albert on point as we head down to the XC2 Pro Lights. Trevor Bollinger, Craig DeLong, Samuel Evans, Zach Hayes, Luke Parsons, Nathan Thornhill, Austin Lee, Josh Toth, Harrison Helmick, Michael Witkowski, Vance Francis, Ryder Lafferty, Mark Koresko, Connor Karkowski, Nick Davis, Michael McGinnis, Benjamin Kelly, and Mason Atherton. All ready to roll in this XC2 Pro Lights class in 10 seconds. And they're off. The kickstarts are down. Davis on that new American Beta. Good jump, but it looks like he's going to get pinched down up there in that first turn by one of the Huskies. It is the 11 of Craig DeLong from Morgantown, Pennsylvania on a Coastal Racing Rockstar Husqvarna, getting off to the early lead in this one. 4-stroke A Lights class coming up next. Braxton McGee, Hunter Shelton, Drew Bolton, Tyler Braniff, Colin Keegan, Connor Keegan, Christopher McManus, Russell Smith, Spencer Berkey, Dustin Simpson, Sam Forrester, Larry Sylvia, Cope Beckert, also Caleb Williams and Tristan Landrum, all ready to roll in 10 seconds. Oh, man, sometimes that seems like such a long 10 seconds as they roll into turn number 1. A mad dash of fury. Here we go. It's a 704. Tristan Landrum out front out of Nelsonville, Ohio. He's on a Mountain Power Supply back machine fly racing, also Bonsai engines. As we move from the 4-stroke A's to the open A bike now. Dylan Rash, Vincent Smith, Brady Myers, Dual Murphy, Spencer Hoyt, Zach Trussell, Tyler Burton, James Steiner, Michael Pillard, Levi Keller, Tyler Soriano, Dustin Ulrich, and also Zach Dotson. 10 seconds. And they're off, ripping it out into the, jumping off that. He's got the 203 on his bike. But I don't know where he goes after that. We go down to the 37 machine, and that is Dylan Rash out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on a Palmetto Motorsports MSR TF Racing Bank KTM. Moving next from the Open A now to the 200A. We got Jace Knopp, Jesse Ansley, Brandon Hayes, also Zachary Hugel, Chase Hayes, and Braden Moore ready to roll on Rick Towery's cue. The 200A in 10 seconds. And they're off. The 200A class now making their way out of the first turn toward the second turn, led by the 722 of Chase Hayes out of Sumter, South Carolina, on a Carolina KTM backed by Brown's RV and Kenda Tires. Coming up next, the 250A class, Chris Vendetti, Eric Douglas, Andrew Bogg, Sean Barnhart. Also looking at Brewer Cawley, Evan Earl, Cameron Sisk, Ryan Slopko, Tyler Murphy, Daniel Fortner, Hunter Bush, Alex Teagarden, George Kowalkonski, Jason Smalley, Matthew Kiefer, Josh Farrow, Eric Sauter, Zach Nolan, and Cole Harbstreet. Less than 10 seconds to go now for our 250A. And they're off. Wow. And the 721, Zach Nolan, Masontown, West Virginia. He literally walked out his back door and onto the property this morning to take the whole shot and early lead in the 258 class. Then A class, Joe Marsh, Jesse Arsenault, Big Jim Steiner, Eddie DeLojack Jr., Ryan Inman, Jedediah Haynes, Louis Olean, also Joe Dean, Chris Levin, and Tom Truxell ready to roll in 10 seconds. And they're off. 187, great jump off the line there. We'll see if we can get the number off of this early leader. Man, they're slicing and dicing and jockeying for position. Eddie LoJack Jr. on the LoJack's Yamaha. Oh, he drops way down too low, but maybe he's got the momentum to get back into position in turn 3. Junior AB 25 plus coming up next. Matt Modick, also Ian Smith, Mason Stevens, Clint Masters, Joshua Webb, Peyton Randolph, Nick Mellinger, Kevin Simmons, Joseph McCarty, Brandon Peterson, Josh Lewis, Lucas Towery, Lane Hosel, Levi Kuntz, Jeremy Dexter, Randy Roberts, and Andrew France in 10 seconds. Oh my, I don't know who ended it. Maybe the 426 there of Joseph McCarty out of Mount Clair, West Virginia on the MCI Racing RG Honda. Senior A40 Plus coming up next with Sean Remington, the old shotgun man himself, Harry Englehart, Frank Tussle, Jason Bassett, Billy Schlag, Rob Brown, Bob Bourbon, David Galliano, and Jeff Husted. 10 seconds. 418, Billy Schlag out of Mechanicsville, Maryland, Trail Pros, Ride on Moto, and Fly Racing. He grabs the early lead in this one, and man, he looks like he's not ready to look back. He's on the hammer there, and he's heading up toward turn number 3. As we head down to our next class, the 200B class, Jordan Overfield, Teague Secura, Johnny Manera, also Ben Kowalkowski. We got Adam Parker, Randy Smith, Cash Jacobs, Nathan Davis, looking at Chase Colville, Hank Hayes, and Garrett Robertson in 10 seconds. A lot of position jockeying going on in that first turn now as we get it sorted out. It is going to be the 311. That is Teague Securo from just south of here out of Fairmont, West Virginia on that KTM. That B30 plus class coming up next. Bill Zavindi, Larry Hopper, Heath Glumack, Also looking at Steve Young, David Linkletter, Glenn Hayes, Mike Barber, Joshua Doman, Jared Hoffman, Carson Meisenheimer. 10 seconds. Tom Barry, Wayne Skidmore, and Josh Nickel. And they're off, man. Good fluid motion off the starting line there. 4:15, Joshua Doman out of Rawlings, Maryland. Good jump, but it looks like he's going to get pinched off, or will he? Oh, look at that. He may hang on to it. He and that 103 of Bill Zavendi out on the MPR suspension, true MX Fly racing machine, dicing it out for the early lead. As we go to the Open B class, Devin Newkirk, Grant Lehman, also Adam Chaddick, Jared Shiley, Matt Thorpe, look Dominic Jarvis, Denver Deshawn, Ted Rummy. Seconds. Couple of bike links heading into that first turn, a couple into turn 2. Let's see if he can maintain it. It looks like he will, but he's got company out of Matt Bruffy, the 720. We go now to the senior B40 plus class, right? Leon Whitaker, Mike Kochman, Jeffrey Flynn, Chris Ramos. Seconds. And they're off. A big, long start for these guys. 8:99, Chris Lynn out of Vincent, Ohio. Getting a great jump off the line, and he's going to maintain that in and out of turn. Oh, maybe not. Ooh, he's under pressure, but he's going to maintain it. 4-stroke B-Lights coming up next. We got riders like Colton Cup, Justin Murphy, Bretton Laird, Hunter Williams, Bolton DeRoff. Also looking at Ryan Osterling, Troy Lieberman, Brendan Poling, Cody Johnson, and Austin Evans. 10 seconds. And they're off. Ooh, 299. Is that 292? Might be 299. Let's see. Get this one a little closer. Man, we got a 229's who that is. That is Hunter Williams out of Sophia, North Carolina, KR4, Rocky Mountain, ATVMC, also FTI suspension. And up next is going to be the 250B class. James Harshberger, Nick Hoffman, Edward White, Timothy Steiner, Matt Davis, Kyle Prismont, Will Buskirk, Michael Adam, Denver Martin, Jonathan Harker, Gage Collins, Noah Stevens. 10 seconds. Thad Workman, Nick O'Brien, Aaron Lehman, and Billy Seglia. .247, Matthew Davis out of Bertrandville, getting a good jump off the line. Let's see what happens out of that first turn. It's sorting out, position jockeying taking place. And wow, I don't know, that changed up quite a bit. I seen Billy Saliga there in that little bunch there. Not sure who got the actual early lead that one, but we'll check in with it coming up here in a little bit. We're going to take a quick break here on RacerTV.com, and when we come back, we got live racing from right here at Marvin's Mountaintop. It is round 11 of the AMSOIL GNCC. Welcome to the Mountaineer Run GNCC.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Racer TV's coverage of the Mountaineer Run 2016. I'm Megawatt Matt Watson, joined here with Johnny Gallagher and, of course, our host, Rodney Tomlin. Johnny, tell us a little bit about what's happening out there on the track with the conditions and stuff. You got to race yesterday, amazing quad race that we watched, and things starting to develop over the course of the weekend. What's it looking like out there? I know you're out there with Becca Sheets. Congratulations to her, wrapping up a national championship here just a little bit ago. And I know you were out on the course. Tell us what to expect this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely, Megawatt. You know what, you can see already here from this shot that we're looking at on RacerTV.com, watching GNCC Live. We've got a shot of one of our field sections, and, you know, 2 words for this place, Megawatt: dusty and rocky. You know, there's this track has an interesting flow to it. The woods are really technical and really rocky up here on Marvin's Mountaintop. You know, we've been this facility has been raced quite a bit over the years, obviously with different series, and GNCC has been coming here for a number of years as well now. So the course is well worn in, but it's you know, the good thing about GNCC is, you know, we travel to so many different areas of the country, and we get to ride such different terrain. And, you know, this is one that is definitely unique. There is no other event like this on the tour. I mean, the closest you could say would be the other West Virginia round, Snowshoe, obviously. But that is pretty wet. You know, Snowshoe has those bogs on the side of the mountain, where here it's, as you can see from this shot, Megawatt, I mean, it is dry. They haven't had any rain up here. So what the XC1, XC2, and the rest of our amateur riders are out there encountering now is a lot of dust, a lot of rocks, a lot of elevation change, and overall just a good, fun, flowing track. I think it's going to provide for some excellent racing action, but at the same time, it's going to, I guess you could say, it's going to offer quite a bit of an advantage if somebody's able to get out front and be the one making the dust rather than back in the pack eating it, which does not bode well for some of the riders that didn't get a good start, but really bodes well for a visiting multi-time champion from overseas who got the whole shot in the XC1 class, Johnny Albert, a name we've never seen here before in GNCC racing. So welcome to GNCC, and what a statement to make right out of the gate.
Wow, Johnny, you sound like all of my podiums this morning rolled into one. You talked about great conditions. You talked about dry conditions. You talked about the rock being similar maybe to Snowshoe, but it is a different style of rock than we find at any other track. And when you talk about all those things combined into one, there's only one place you're going to find it. That is here. And I have to agree with you, Johnny. Being out front is absolutely going to be an advantage today. But I do have to say, this is by far not any type of dust storm or dust race that we've seen.
No,
by any means.
And it's hard to explain, you know, the different types of dust conditions that we have out there. But today's are very manageable. You know, you can kind of ride through it. As you mentioned, some of the races get so dusty you end up having to let up. You know, it obviously being up front, having completely clear vision is an advantage, but it's not that it's impassable if you're not the guy up front leading. You know, it really comes down to just trying to be able to pick better lines if you're back in the dust and stay in the smoother stuff. Your vision's a little bit impaired, but, you know, definitely not anything that's affecting safety or their ability to push out there right now. So, but, you know, you mentioned the different types of rocks, and I think the most interesting thing here about the rocks at Masontown is they're kind of ghost rocks. They move, they jump around. They're loose rocks. They're big enough that, you know, they're an obstacle, but they're small enough that when they get hit, when they get pushed around, as the track lines develop, they'll move. Sometimes they move 6 inches, sometimes they'll move 6 feet. So if you think you know what's on the ground and you're not paying attention, you might be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. When you find a place like Snowshoe, you find a lot of rock. It's more of a rounded rock. It's more of a solid rock. This has more of a shell consistency to it. You're going to find a lot of square edges on these rocks. These rocks are going to break, Johnny, as they're moving around like you're talking about. So very different than you're going to find really anywhere else. But just got a report, I believe Corey Buttrick leading right now. So
absolutely.
You know, that's exactly what we're looking for, huh, bud?
Yeah, the number 121 SRT KTM out there leading the way. So congrats to Corey B. Didn't actually get to see where he was off the start, but I'm going to assume he had a pretty good start. And, you know, obviously Corey being from Ohio, the rocks surely are not foreign to him. You know, he's ridden these conditions a lot and dropping the hammer early, you know. And now we're seeing some of our XC2 riders work their way through one of our rock gardens. This is actually just up either right before or right after the 6-mile marker, and that's a pretty technical section there.
Yeah, we watched this section yesterday, and you talk about technical. Watching you guys on the quads, a couple different line choices through there, and some action that was taking place. I want to tell you, no easy section right there, Johnny, by any means.
No, absolutely not, Megawatt. You know, that section is it's a handful and a half. You know, you can see these guys, they're up on the pegs. Now, these are the best of the best riders in the world right now. And you can see, look at this, we've got some different lines developing. We see on the outside there, Ryan Sipes all the way, way back, mid-pack or worse in the XC2.
Ah, bummer.
We actually see some of our A riders coming through now ahead of Sipes, so a problem for that Coastal Husqvarna. Ryan Sipes will hope that it's something they can get fixed and hopefully get him back up in contention to do a little bit better today than what he currently is. Again, we don't know if that's an issue with the bike or him. We actually see one of the Coastal guys walking across the track there. We can assume going to report back, and if it's something that can be addressed, whether it's with him or the machine, we'll hope they can get it sorted out and back out from there.
Early in the race, great crew over there, knowledgeable, know what to do, know how to make adjustments quickly, make repairs quickly, and yeah, if that is the case, hopefully they'll get that straightened out. Might just simply be a little mistake.
Well,
that type of thing.
One thing I can say for sure is just reading his body language, there's definitely something going on. He was looking over his shoulder and he was moving out of the way for the riders coming through. So he was definitely experiencing a problem. Again, whether it's something with himself or the bike, or it could be one of those situations where he did take a little tumble. He's taken a minute to regroup and compose himself. Again, we don't know exactly what's going on. We'll see if we can get an update on that here coming up, and obviously we'll give those guys an opportunity to get things sorted if they can do so, and then get an update and pass it along to the viewers at home. But again, you can see there are several different lines through this rock garden, and this is one of many out on the course, but I would say that this one is probably the most technical in terms of the length of it. There are some other rock sections that are actually worse than this, but they're maybe 15, 20 feet long. You kind of come in, carry your momentum. If you bounce right, you're out of it. This one is, several hundred feet long from where it starts to where it ends. And we can see, actually looks like Brady Myers. He's working his way through a local boy, obviously. Oh, and even Brady gets off his pegs there. And you can see they turn and then up and even further up the rock section they go. So it's quite a long section. They're in it for probably upwards of 20, 30 seconds by the time it's all said and done.
And that was the perfect example that you mentioned, the moving rock. As soon as that wheel got on top of that rock, it was on top of another one, spun out, lost his footing, lost his traction, and a quick mistake right there.
Yeah, and you'll see when you see the best of the best come through here, as we watch our XC1, XC2, and these are very, very good A riders that we're watching come through. There's one of our 250A riders, Zach Nolan. I know he had the whole shot in our 250A class. He's a local boy. He rides so much here in the rocks. He's very good at it. But you'll see that the top riders, when they come through, a lot of these guys you can see dabbing. There's a Florida boy, doesn't know anything about rocks, Jesse Hensley, doing pretty well though. He's actually up into our 250A class there. There is Alex Deegard, another local rider. We expect to see those guys kind of battling over this amateur overall, that group that just came through there. But when things are coming through and everything's going smoothly, you'll see these guys up on the pegs. They'll be gripping the bike with their knees, but they'll be letting it float underneath them and kind of letting the bike adjust as it bounces certain ways off the rocks. They'll look real fluid and they'll look smooth. But when things start to go awry, you'll see those feet come flying off the pegs, and that's when everything goes wrong.
That's when the outriggers are down, my man. That's when it happens. Hey, you mentioned Jesse Ansley there. One of our sportsman riders from Florida was actually leading this morning, and I was blown away, Johnny. I said the same thing you did. What does this Florida guy know about rocks? But apparently he knows how to avoid them or stay on top of them, one or the other. A great ride for him this morning. But as you mentioned, now starting to get some traffic in here, Johnny, as you talked about this was going to happen. Now you're going to have moving rocks on top of moving rocks. Sure. And it's not going to look the same in 25 minutes when you come back around.
No, absolutely. Everything's always evolving on this course, and these guys, especially when we see our leaders come through chasing their way through this. But as you're watching at home, we got to let you know about our AMSOIL Twitter contest. Tweet your podium finisher predictions to hashtag GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL products. Now, the winner will be chosen at random. You don't have to get your picks right. You just got to get them in. So get up there, get on Twitter, and tweet out your top 3 podium finishers, and you could have a chance to win. What do you think, Megawatt? I'm going to put you on the spot.
I knew it was coming.
Everybody wants to do it. Everybody wants to do it late in the race, and they want to call the guys that are currently running top 3. Here we are, not even a lap complete. We're 22 minutes into this. There's a lot to consider here, but I'm going to put you on the spot. You got 10 seconds. Your top 3 for the day.
Caleb Russell, followed by Thad Duvall, followed by Trevor Bollinger.
Oh, we got a Megawatt putting it. Oh, look at this. Look at this struggle. We got some of our, this guy just bounced off and ended up, the fans are hopping in and helping him out. But so we got an XC2 guy in Megawatt's top 3 overall podium predictions. Not too much of a departure when you figure Trevor did finish 2nd overall at Snowshoe just a couple of months ago, just 2 actual races ago. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, and Chris Bach.
You know what? I almost took Chris Bach, took his teammate instead.
Yep.
But you know what? Should we go ahead and face the shame right now and tell the folks how bad we've done this year?
We have not
on
been
our
doing
picks?
well at all. Well,
It's great that AMSOIL makes this contest. You don't have to pick him in order to win.
Look at this, still out front, Corey
Holy
Buttrick.
cow.
He's leading the way, and with a little bit of a gap. Fans, if you're out there on that racetrack, lean over the edges, get to screaming. Corey Buttrick, the number 121 SRT KTM, with Caleb Russell running him down in second
Wow.
place. Caleb, if there's any mercy left in you, Corey's led this one all the way through this first lap. Let him get that lap led. It'd be a phenomenal step in the right direction for Corey Buttrick leading the way here early. Thad Duvall looks like in fourth. That was Grant Baylor in third. And we've got, we should have our fifth place rider coming through, and that looks to be Stu Baylor. So the Baylor boys running 3 and 5. 2 Baylors in the top 5. Good start for those guys.
Corey Buttrick leading the defending national champ, the world champ, and everybody else right now. Holy cow, how tough is it going to be on this kid mentally right now?
Absolutely.
He hears that number 1 bike behind
Lot
him.
of pressure.
He knows where he's at, and he knows who's behind him.
Look at this. Hold on 1 second. I don't believe that's been a minute since Corey Buttrick came by, but we do see our XC2 leader, Lane Michael.
Wow.
We may have an XC2 rider leading the overall, but it's not Trevor Bollinger. It's Lane Michael. He's already gotten around the number 114 of Josh Strang, and all but about 6 of our XC1 guys on lap number 1. Lane Michael has put in some phenomenal rides here at Marvin's Mountaintop over the years, won some races in 250A. I don't know that he's ever actually won an XC2 race here in the few years that he's been running it, but here it is, leading the way. Corey Buttrick is going to get this lap led. What a great feeling for Corey.
Absolutely.
He's pushing. You know, this is almost like a victory for him at this point, but he's not going to give up from there. He's going to do everything he can to try and stay up there. Second place now is the number 1 KTM of Caleb Russell, who was dead last off the line, sitting there for quite a bit after the other riders had come by, or had already made it through the first turn. So that shows that he's really pushing the pace early. And there is Grant Baylor in third. So now we wait, and it should be the number 5 of Thad Duvall in fourth, and then fifth place should be Stu Baylor on the 514 SRT KTM. That was what it was when we last saw him just a moment ago, and there is Stu crossing the line in fifth. So we've got our top 5 overall checked in. Now what we need to do is we need to watch the clock and see, but I'm going to go on a limb here, and I believe that Lane Michael is going to be your overall leader when he checks in here in just a moment.
I've got to agree with you, Johnny. It wasn't a minute before Lane Michael
sure
came along.
didn't feel like it, did it?
And you know what?
Here, tail of the tape. Here it is. Lane
Here we
Michael
go.
about to cross the beacon. He comes in and and we've got a little bit of a lag, or Lane Michael's transponder did not read because we've got riders coming in behind him.
Oh,
Lane Michael's transponder did not read.
Oh,
That
my
is
goodness.
Talk about a heartbreaker. Lane Michael surely has to be your overall leader.
and you know what? It makes me feel like a real spode right now, because he told us this weekend at the school visit, he told us he was coming, he was bringing it, and he was ready, and you put me on the spot there pretty quick, man. And here I go and say Bollinger of all things instead of the local guy. Now I feel like a real spode, dude, for sure. Well, hey, I'm going to let Rodney jump in here for just a minute. I'll catch back up with you guys. We'll keep an eye on that Ryan Sipes situation. I think you may have possibly Steve Hatch stopping by here in a little bit. He's going to come by and say, hey, so we got all kinds of action on Racer TV
All kinds
today,
of
my
action.
man.
And lap number 1, 24 minutes and 31 seconds. That's an interesting lap time there, because that's going to put us right on the cusp of whether or not we are going to end up doing what could potentially be 6 laps or possibly 7. That really puts things in an interesting conundrum as far as the lap times. So, but what we do know for sure is that
Corey is still in the
Corey
lead.
Buttrick is still out front. We see Caleb Russell working his way. We should see them any moment here, coming right at us in the Racer TV studios. Sorry, folks. A little bit of a technical. Yes. So as they work their way into the VP Fuels Pro row here, we can hear Corey Buttrick coming. He should be just working his way around through the factory semis, and we see now the rest of our riders that look like that was Stu Baylor that worked his way. We're joined here by Rodney, who made his way in from the starts, and wow, some exciting developments here early, Rodney. What do you think? Corey Buttrick leading the way.
Yeah, that's really neat, and I got really excited. I heard the update coming in off the racetrack from Bill Allen. He made the call there as I was making my way up from the starting line at the 6.2. Another update that he gave, and I'm in the same boat that you are, Johnny, because he came through pretty quick, and that was the fact that Lane Michael was leading the XC2 Pro Lights class and was way up already into the XC1 Pro class, and that right there was some pretty good indication that, you know, he's got a pretty good overall going on right now. Big news in that also is that Trevor Bollinger was running about 6th place at that point. Now, we all know as well as anyone that that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot this early in the race, especially for Trevor Bollinger, because he's like a freight train, man. I mean, once he gets up to speed, he's tough to stop, and he keeps on rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting to see as these develop. I wasn't watching the screen there. I assume we did see Corey Buttrick come through. I did just see Caleb Russell. So it is still Corey Buttrick leading. Caleb Russell in 2nd. We do know it is Grant Baylor in 3rd. The local boy, Thad Duvall, in 4th. So getting pretty close to a podium position there. And then we see Stu Baylor in 5th. So there is your top 5 through the VP Fuels Pro row. But again, keep an eye on that clock, folks. Unfortunately, our live results are still not showing Lane Michael as having come in. We saw on screen that he did, in fact, come in. He is for sure leading the XC2 class, and we believe that he is leading the overall. I wish I could have. There he is right there. That's definitely not a minute. He's now working.
Here's the thing. Look, Craig DeLong, they've got him tapped in right now at 5th place overall, and he is 6 seconds behind. It looks like Lane on that physical aspect of it. So,
well, no, they're showing that's the one above him. They're showing him as the leader.
Oh, they are showing him as the leader. Okay, yeah.
We'll have to get that updated when we can. There we see, looks like Chris Bach working his way through. These guys now, I mean, you can see that they're really starting to chew up this VP Fuel Pro row as Jason Thomas comes by on that 252 stroke. The change for Thomas at our last race seemed to be working out well for him. He was running well within a top 10 position before having that rare issue with the shock spring breaking. There we see, looks like possibly Johnny O'Bear. Was that? No, that was Craig DeLong. So we now have our 2nd place rider in XC2, and the rest of these guys are checking through. Josh Strang obviously appears to be off the pace so far. He has not even checked in yet. We know he's got that little bit of an ankle injury. We were waiting to see just how that develops today, and so far it appears it definitely is affecting him.
Well, in talking with him at the pre-race today, he was talking a little about that. He got the cast off that he got after last week's National Enduro get off, and he said he injured himself in the last section of the NEC. And anyway, he got the cast on Monday, I believe it was, and then on Friday about noon or lunchtime or so, they took the cast off, and he made the drive up from North Carolina here. And he said that honestly, he was hoping that maybe it would make him, since he was going to be more cautious, he might be able to traverse the rocks that maybe a little better and actually get through it a little easier.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where you have to kind of try and have a positive attitude coming in, obviously, if you know you're injured. So I think he's hoping for the best. Right now, it looks like he is 14th overall when they checked in over at the finish line, and it appears he's dropped even further back than that now. So not a good start for things for him, but, you know, definitely possible that he could get a little more comfortable with that situation he's got going on with the ankle and make adjustments from there. We see Austin Lee with a pit stop on the first lap. Looks like he was just grabbing a drink.
Yep.
So thought maybe he was going to come in and get some fuel a little early. Might have got mixed up about his time, but he looks like it was just a drink. A little bit out of focus, but we know who that is, Rodney, don't we?
Oh, yeah. That looks like that is the number 1 there.
Nope, 121.
All right, 121. Yep. Well, it is 121.
You were
right.
Actually,
I thought I couldn't see because of the way it looked like a white background on that, but now I see the red back. Look at the gap, though, that he's got over Caleb. This is pretty good. He's looking back there, and I'm sure he's wondering himself, why isn't Caleb pushing the envelope and got around him yet, or trying to get around him? And that might just be because Corey's riding on a great level today, and he's reached that level finally, and hopefully it's a level he can stay at now that he's achieved it.
Absolutely, you know, and sometimes they say you just need that one great ride to get through and kind of the breakthrough, and we saw that a little bit with Buttrick at the end of last season. If you remember at Powerline Park, he was up and he was in a podium position for much of the race, and I believe ended up finishing 5th or 6th. It was still a very solid ride as opposed to, you know, some struggles he had earlier in the season. But, you know, this could be the one we've been waiting all year. He's had some solid rides, but definitely not what we know Corey Buttrick, what he's capable of. We've seen him win GNCC races in the past. It's been a long time, but it's been a long road back after a lot of injuries. And, you know, and it's, Rodney, you know, we talk about so much about confidence, and, you know, the confidence that Corey Buttrick has to be feeling leading the best riders in America, the best riders in the world right now, that's going to go, you know, a long way in helping him achieve his goals.
Wow, just sitting here looking at these course conditions right now. And what a great day of racing here, of course. And we had, as great as things are right here, and we got this nice, hot, sunshiny afternoon, we had a really nice, sunshiny morning this morning that set the stage for two great races in the youth race this morning. We had some good racing going on there. And we also had the WXC in the 10 o'clock race that had a phenomenal ride. And Johnny, I know that you're a big part of this. We want to congratulate Becca Sheets and her clinching the title, I guess, here this weekend, huh?
Yeah, definitely a good day for her, and I just bring a bike. She rides it.
Well, congratulations to you both. We caught up with our youth winner and with our new WXC champ.
Hello, everybody. We're here with the first winner of the day, youth overall winner, Hunter Reamer. Hunter led every lap, man, flag to flag today. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a rough track. I worked really hard all day. I mean, they kept catching up. I kept pulling away. It was a fun day overall.
I know one thing. Looks like at the very end, slowed the pace up. Did you go into preservation mode a little bit? Looked like you slowed the lap times down just a bit on the last two laps.
Yeah, I was trying to ride smooth and fast at the same time, but he was giving me the pit board to speed up because they were catching me. So at the end of that last lap, I was really pushing, just trying to make sure they weren't catching me on the last lap.
What did conditions look like in the woods out there today?
It was actually pretty good, just real rocky, soft soil. Wasn't real dusty at all, really, but it was a fun track.
Back in action, back in the center of the box one more time for Hunter Reamer, huh?
Yep.
Congratulations. We'll see you guys in just a minute on the podium. Hello, everybody. We're here with this morning's winner, overall and WXC winner, Becca Sheets, doing it again in some really tough conditions. Really had to gut this one out, I'm sure, today.
Yeah, it was pretty challenging. I really can honestly say I've never gone this fast at this track. I normally struggle a bit more, but I did some practicing last weekend, and I think it really paid off today in the rocks. I felt really good.
Well, I know one thing, Becca, you've done a lot of practicing this season. You've done a lot of things to the program, and proof is in the pudding, man. You're finding success. How good does that feel that you're being rewarded for all the hard work?
It feels amazing. I don't know, it kind of just makes everything that you go through worth it when you cross the finish line in first.
I was going to break that news to you in just a second. Jeremy went by and gave us the thumbs up, but Johnny Gallagher went ahead and delivered that news for us, so congratulations, that's for sure. We're going to see you on the podium in just a minute. Great job, Johnny. Yeah, a lot of fun there with Becca Sheets. Congratulations to her, and of course Hunter Reamer as well. But hey guys, just walked past the coastal pits, didn't quite make it there in time, but they did do a wheel change on Ryan Sipes' bike. Ryan charged out of the pits, looked like things were normal again, back to full speed. So came right out of the pits with that new wheel, back up to race speed immediately. So Johnny Gallagher, you were correct when you talked about the body position, looking like something possibly wrong with the bike. Absolutely. So a complete wheel change in the coastal pits as they made their way back out on the track. Looked like Ryan Sipes was definitely back up to speed.
Thanks for that update there, Megawatt, and obviously that answers the question is exactly what happened there with Ryan Sipes. So unfortunate, but we'll see if he can charge back up and make up some ground. And, you know, as things are developing out there on the course, we've got a couple of really great shots from around this place, and it really does show the diversity, Rodney. You know, we've got obviously some fast, fun, flowing field sections, which are a little dusty today, but nothing preventing these guys from mixing it up and really putting in some good speed. Hold on one second. We got Megawatt with an update.
Hey guys, I'm actually here with Barry Hawk. I told you I didn't quite make it in time. I saw the rear wheel being worked on. Actually, Barry, you tell me it was the brakes.
Yeah, as soon as he started down a new bike-only section, he said the brakes just went away. We don't know what the issue is. I mean, the fluid's in there, and not sure. We don't know. But, you know, he had to ride that entire bike-only section, the rest of the track, to get in here with no rear brakes. But we got him swapped, and he's back out. So I'm sure he's got his work cut out for him, but I'm sure he's going to give everything he got to salvage as many points as possible.
Yeah, he charged back out on the track. Looked like he was extremely confident. Looked like you guys have got it fixed for right now, but definitely by his body position and the way he was coming the second half of that lap, something obviously wrong, but Coastal Team got him back on the track, and he's charging again.
Yeah, he's out there charging. I don't know where he's at right now, probably 30th overall, I'm guessing. I don't really know, but, you know, I mean, he believe it or not, with his moto background, he really likes his track, so, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it all the way back into the top 10.
10 for, and hey, by the way, good to see you back out there this morning in the sportsman class too on a bike, bud.
Yeah, it was fun. Second corner, I went down and got beat up, ran over, trumped, everything above, and I ended up riding a lap, but I just pulled out. I was hurting a little bit too much, so I didn't have nothing to gain by staying out there, so I pulled it in.
Made you realize what you don't miss?
Yeah, I do not miss being wounded riding around. You know, there was many times I was wounded and I kept out hammering on. You know, it was my job. I had to keep going, and today I just pulled her in. So, but it was fun. I like this place. I always like the rocks. So, you know, it's overall the track is dusty in the open, but it's really good in the woods.
Hey, thanks for the report, Barry. Hey, good luck to you and the Coastal Team this afternoon.
All right, thank you.
All right, back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt. Johnny, I tell you, man, pretty exciting stuff. I think that you might have seen that little incident with Barry and that little crash, and but nonetheless, good to see him back out on the track today, and also good to see the Woods Extreme Cross Country Racing Series, or the WEXCR. Wexer, as a lot of people know them. We are co-sanctioning with them this weekend, and Tim Wood and all the folks over there are here with us, and good to have that little grassroots kind of program actually with GNCC. And what's really cool is the fact that you know, it's kind of like what the GNCC was whenever it began some 40 years or so ago, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's great to see a local series up and coming, and to be able to see the work these guys have put in. You know, they've done a lot of effort at their races, and this year they've got two co-series races with GNCC. We had the first one in the John Penton, and then again here today. So great to see again an opportunity for them to get even more exposure on a larger scale, and then also you know, to get their riders out to try some GNCC racing. Those that don't already, it's definitely a good opportunity.
It most definitely is. And Johnny, right now, as we look at this, we're about 40 minutes, pushing 41 minutes into it. Last check, Corey Buttrick leading Caleb Russell with Grant Baylor in third, Thad Duvall in fourth. And I think that we've got Lane Michael in there somewhere. We don't know where in the top 5, but possibly even leading on overall adjusted time. Of course, we'll know more about that when we get another checkup coming up here in just a few moments. We'll be back with more GNCC Live right after this.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
The wrong coolant can give you bad stuff, like this and this. You need the right stuff. Evans Waterless Engine Coolant. It's waterless for a reason. Smart guys make it, and smart people use it. Don't take any chances. Get the right stuff. Go to evanschooling.com for more.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
At Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we want to help increase rider participation at your next race, rally, or club event with our free Race Gas program. Join Race Gas, and every rider that signs up for your event or club gets a free $10 gift card to Rocky Mountain ATVMC. It's that simple. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live, as Caleb Russell now has taken over the lead here as we are continuing on lap number 2 here at the Mountaineer Run GNCC. And as you can see through the FMF PowerPoint there, he is manipulating that rock garden quite easily now, as we see that I believe it is Buttrick has dropped back to the number 2 spot now aboard the 121 machine. And Got Thad Duvall back there, it looks like, maybe in that number 3 spot. I didn't see Grant go by, I don't think, there, Johnny. So
yeah, I did not either. It looks to be, like you said, a little shake-up inside the top 3. So we'll wait and we'll watch. And any minute here we could. Is that a bike off to the left? No, it was not. So we'll have to wait and see if we do see Grant Baylor coming through here in just a moment. That is Stu Baylor.
Wow.
So Stu Baylor in 4th, and Ricky Russell in 5th is charged up and made up quite a gap on those guys. Looks to be, look at that, Lane Michael.
Wow.
There he is. He's all the way up to 6th physically on the track. You would have to imagine if he is either leading or right within a few seconds of Caleb Russell.
I have to totally agree with that. And I tell you, he does a lot of training with Caleb Russell, and to know that he can maybe match that pace wouldn't be surprising, to be honest with you, especially in the situation and scenario that he's faced with right now, trying to play catch-up. And know he's got so much flow and everything's going so well for him right now.
Well, let me tell you something. Lane does very well on this course. There we see Jordan Ashburn, a great rock rider. He's up on the pegs. He's taken a different line than most of the riders did through there, a little more direct line. But when he gets to the end, he's got to cross over and go that long way around. That right line kind of cuts off that corner. So it's a little bit of a line choice option there. But Jordan definitely carried himself through there pretty well. Now we see Josh Strang. Looks like he's composed himself and worked his way back up into contention for possibly a top 10 overall. When we last saw him, he was in 14th. But pointing out what you said about Caleb Russell and Lane Michael training together, looks like at least on corrected time from what we're assuming, those guys are 1-2 overall right now. Let me ask you a question, Rodney. What do you think is going to happen if that continues? Look at this. Josh Toth, 2nd place in the XC2, was nowhere to be seen when we saw those guys coming through last time. He is on the hammer and really looking hard to charge and make up some ground and get up into a podium position, or get up into potentially an overall podium position. There we see Trevor Bollinger and also Craig DeLong coming through. So there is your top 4 in that XC2 class. What do you think is going to happen when they tell Caleb Russell that Lane Michael is beating him on corrected time overall?
Here's the thing. I think still early in the race, I think we got to look at the big picture of all this right now. I mean, we haven't even reached the 1 hour mark. So I think initially in the early going, Caleb's not going to be too concerned about it. Of course, he's not going to lay back any whatsoever. I mean, he knows there's no room to relax at that point. So I think that it's not in the early part of the race going to be a big issue for Caleb. But I think as the race wears on, if that be the case as we get closer to the end, then it might get to be a little more sense of urgency, and we may or may not even see Caleb try to push that envelope. I mean, he might be just thinking right now, championship salvaging points. I can take it, on the chin this one time and still fare well out of this one. But, there are a lot of different situations that could arise out of that. But I think the champ is really matured a lot over the last few years. So I don't think it's going to shake him too much, at least in the early part of the race.
I agree, actually. But, it's always fun to create that that what if, that potential story. Come on, Rodney. You're the one that's supposed to do this. You're the hype man. You're supposed to hype this all up.
Here's the thing. Here's the other side of that coin, Johnny Gallagher. If Caleb Russell, if he gets in the inside of Caleb Russell's head, the thing about it is, like you said, they've been training together, so Caleb knows exactly what Lane is capable of. He's seen him. He's helped him reach the level that he's reaching right now. So at the same time, on the flip side of that coin, it might actually start to bug him a little bit. He might start thinking, man, maybe I've been showing him a little bit too much. Maybe, those times that he's showing me the speed out there while we're practicing, he's translating it into the race, and if that's the case, I could be in trouble, and that might put the champ on edge.
All right,
how's that?
Let me play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate. Along the same lines. But what if Caleb Russell right now is just managing this race, knowing he's got the lead physically. He's been able to pull a little bit of a gap, not a huge gap, but a little bit of a gap over 2nd place in XC2 or in XC1. When he comes in or on a pit board, they're going to let him know, okay, Lane Michael's close to you on the overall, even though you can't see him. And Caleb said, I'm comfortable with that. This race is now at 46 minutes in. Let's say we get an hour and a half in and they're still close. Let's see that they get 2 hours in and they're still close. Caleb puts on his game face, goes out, picks the pace up, right? That's what we would sort of expect, What if Lane matches him? What does Caleb do then?
Oh, there you go. That's pretty interesting. That is a pretty interesting scenario because, it definitely can get into his head. But the thing about it is, and this will be a true test, honestly, if it can work into that scenario and situation, it'll be a true test for Caleb and how much he can rise to the occasion when the pressure is being applied like that.
Absolutely. You know, and one guy that we know has worked a lot with Lane and watched Lane a lot through his amateur career, Matt Watson. You know, you've seen Lane come up. He's a local Morgantown boy. You know, he's ridden out of shops that you've worked with and worked for, and you've had a front row seat to a lot of the action. How about it? The local boy done good.
I tell you what, man, absolutely amazing, and just embarrassing me that I didn't pick him today. I just had a
he's going to forgive you.
Yeah, I just had a chance to talk to his uncle and, say, oh, great job, man. He looks phenomenal. He gives me, he said, I'm kind of embarrassed. He said, we didn't get down there, didn't get his spot marked on the start. He was clear on the outside, almost late and that kind of thing. And here this guy is just laying the coals to it right now and delivering one of those rides. But, hey, Johnny, going back to what you said, watching him grow up, watching him from 65s on. As a matter of fact, he was just coming off a Z50 when I had the pleasure of meeting him and his dad. And the kid was never hurt till last year. The kid was never hurt. They were smart riders. They were smart racers and that type of thing. It was a joy to watch him and Thad. They were great friends growing up. Him and Caleb became good buddies and did a lot of training together over the years, as you mentioned. And the guy has a combination of different styles. And I tell you, when he has a day like today, there's nothing better to watch than Lane Michael at speed.
No doubt, and talking with him, it's really neat because the last few times I've talked to him pre-race, he's been pretty confident, and he's been talking about winning and stuff, and he did kind of lend himself in that direction today, but he wasn't going out on any limbs. He wasn't making any great stakes or any great claims or anything like that, but he did answer with an air of confidence, and toward the end of
was he the one that gave you the answer, somebody's got to win, it might as well be me?
Yeah.
That's where he's going, Johnny.
That's a great answer.
That's where he's going, absolutely.
I overheard that during the morning race. I overheard that that interview that you were doing, and when I heard that, I thought to myself, I said, you know what? That's a quiet confidence. That's not a, I'm going to go out, I'm going to stomp them. That's not a, hey, I've done the work, I should be able to win this thing. It's just a, hey, somebody's got to win this race. Why couldn't it be me?
That's funny you mentioned that, Johnny, because it does.
I'm sorry, don't mean to
go right ahead. Tell us what's happening.
If you're able to get an update over there at the Ampro Yamaha tent, it appears that Grant Baylor, we noted that he was in our third place position. Now it's Thad Duvall that's up into the third place spot. Well, folks, here's your reason why. You're getting to see it firsthand. Grant's sitting in a chair there in the background. Look at all that damage. That throttle housing is completely destroyed. There's nothing left of it. They're trying to get the pieces taken off of the throttle housing.
How would you limp that back? I mean, it's almost like you couldn't even. He probably had to pull the throttle cable, actually.
If they haven't already dismantled that, what it doesn't look like they have, he would have had to pull those throttle cables by hand or push that bike back because there was no way to run that throttle. Here we see this guy running the throttle, Caleb Russell. He's actually charging through a rock section that is going to open up into a field section, but look at this, a man on a mission up into second now. There you go, Rodney, the number 5 of Thad Duvall.
About 7-8 seconds back now is he, and there is
Corey Buttrick.
Corey Buttrick still holding solid there in the top 3, and we're going to be watching for Lane. This is going to be the exciting part of this one coming up to see just exactly how close Lane is. I know on the screen I saw him at the 47 mark, so we've been about a minute so far, so he's not inside that minute now, I don't think. If he was earlier, it certainly appeared that way. But honestly, Johnny, here at this juncture of this lap, it looks like that has stretched out a little bit. And we're starting to see some distances now between positions, and that may be what keeps Lane Michael from leading the actual overall. But I'm still going to go out on a limb and say he's close to a top 3 overall if he continues at this pace.
Yeah, he's definitely lost some time from where we saw him earlier. So I think we're going to see him.
There he is, right there.
It's going to be close, but I'm thinking we're going to see him check in a third or a fourth place overall position. But again, that's why we hopefully we can get his transponder to read. Oh, look at this. His transponder read finally from last lap. Lane Michael was, in fact, your overall leader with a lap time of 24:15. Second place overall was Corey Buttrick with a 24:31. So he had a 16-second lead at the end of lap number 1 in that overall was Lane Michael. On screen, it looks like he may not have been able to hold that for this lap. Still going to be close. Still going to be, within seconds of that overall position.
And a lot of it depends exactly how long the gap is. We estimate it at around a minute. It could be a little less than that. It could be a little more than that. And that's where it all hinges on. Man, they're really doing a lot of work right now to Grant Baylor's
Look at the hole in that radiator, Rodney. Look in the bottom left. That's all coolant out of that machine. Grant Baylor, they're doing everything they can to get this machine fixed, but I can tell you right now, Rodney, it is going to be a struggle for them to get this thing fixed and in time for Grant to potentially earn any points today.
You're absolutely right, Johnny. Just had a word with Eddie Ray down here. These guys working at a frantic pace right now. Got their job cut out for them. Going to replace the whole cooling system right now. Going to replace the radiators, some hoses, the connections, everything right now. So these guys working at a mad pace, and you are 100% correct, Johnny. Going to take a huge team effort right now to get Baylor back out on the track.
Hey, Matt, while you're down there, are you able to talk with Grant to find out exactly what happened, how he's doing or anything?
You know, I was getting ready to. As a matter of fact, he's behind me. I thought he went in the trailer. Grant, can you give us one quick moment here? Tell us exactly what went down, man. What happened to this machine right here?
Man, I was just going down a hill over there in the far back section, and just washed my front end, and the bike went into a big rock and broke my throttle cable in two, and busted a big hole in my radiator. So we're just changing the radiator out and new throttle cable. It's going to take a good 10 or 15 minutes to get that all out because it's just a pain in the ass to get to. But I'll go back out there and finish the lap out, see where my overall is, and if I'm in the top 20 overall, I might as well keep going and get some points. But if I'm way far back, there's no point in going out there. So we'll go do a lap or two and see how it goes.
Tough break, and just one of those things, Grant, just wash the front end.
Yeah, just washed the front end going down a hill, and I was right there behind Caleb and Corey for the lead, and I'm super bummed because this is the best I've ever done off the start of XC1 race. So I was feeling good. I was out there and riding good, and just a tiny mistake and went down. So.
Well, we're absolutely bummed for you too, man. Best of luck. We'll get you back out there on the track. I hope ride around and get some points like you said, and you know what? I know we'll see you stronger than ever next week.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks. Hey, back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot. And I'll tell you one note real quick. Grant Baylor, he's having his struggles this year, but I got to tell you, it's going to toughen him up for 2017. I think we're going to see a whole different season for him because all the bad stuff is getting out of the way this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grant, not exactly in a big points battle right now from what I know.
Right,
last year had a phenomenal season. This year's been a little bit of a struggle for him, as you mentioned, but if you got to have a bad race, you'd rather do it when you don't have as much on the line points-wise. And Grant's a tough rider, a tough guy, and if anything, a little bit of a confidence boost for, like we said, Grant is like the freight train. He gets rolling later in the races. Well, today he was rolling early, so that now he knows for sure he can do it.
Yep. And also one thing to point out: if you were watching on the screen on RacerTV.com, you might have noticed that our leaders have come through. Caleb Russell checks in. Thad Duvall was behind him in second. Corey Buttrick was third. Then we had Stu Baylor in fourth. Ricky Russell was fifth. And coming along in sixth place physically on the track was Lane Michael. He's now second place overall in time adjustment, Johnny Gallagher.
It looked as though they were motioning Caleb Russell into the pits, and he did not stop unless I misread what the body language on his mechanic was there. He stepped out, pointed him into the pits, and Caleb shook it off. So I don't know if maybe I was misreading that. There was something written on the pit board, and what do you think might have been written on that pit board, Rodney? Anything along the lines of... Oh, drink ahead. Well, we didn't get to see that, but we're going to create some drama here and say maybe it said something about the overall position.
Right.
How about it? Would you look at these times as they checked in at the completion of lap number 2? We know Lane Michael was leading at the end of lap number 1 with a 16-second lead over Corey Buttrick, with third place overall being Caleb Russell. How was it at the end of lap number 2, Rodney?
Elapsed time for Caleb Russell, 51 minutes, 28 seconds, .234. For Lane Michael, 51 minutes, 29 seconds, .078. 8/10, actually a little less than 8/10 of a second is what Lane Michael is behind Caleb Russell on adjusted time right now.
Boy, you just couldn't make it any closer than that. We're looking at it on screen, and that's what makes it so tough. You're looking at it on screen, and you're thinking, man, that's way longer than a minute. There's no way that, we're predicting him to be barely inside the top 5. They check in, Lane Michael pops up second, which we weren't shocked. There he is, right there on screen, working his way through the VP Fuels Pro Row, charging hard, and we got the wheelie machine behind him there. That's a lap rider picking his front end up, raising it up for the crew there on VP Fuels Pro Row. But Lane Michael charging hard, and he's able to bring it in there just 8/10 of a second off of the overall lead. We'll see how this race develops throughout the day, but right now, the two boys that are battling out for the overall are Caleb Russell and Lane Michael, followed very closely, we will say, by Thad Duvall in the third place overall spot.
Hey, guys, you want to talk about a bummer? Stand down there and look at Grant's face while they're fixing that bike. He's just calm, cool, collected, but totally dejected. You could see the confidence earlier in him today. He's telling me he had the speed. He felt great. He was up there challenging for the lead. But you know what, Johnny? He said he had the same problem the lap earlier in the same spot. So just uncharacteristic for Grant to go down in that manner, just lose the front end. But truly bummed and dejected to watch him as they're repairing that bike.
I'll tell you, I got to wonder right now as we are in the heart of this, how are some of our other riders doing, like our visiting world champion, former world champion, Mr. Albert. We'll check in with him and more of our GNCC racing when GNCC Live continues from Masontown, West Virginia, right after this.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
The wrong coolant can give you bad stuff like this and this. You need the right stuff. Evans Waterless Engine Coolant. It's waterless for a reason. Smart guys make it and smart people use it. Don't take any chances. Get the right stuff. Go to evanscooling.com for more.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
At Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we want to help increase rider participation at your next race, rally, or club event with our free Race Gas program. Join Race Gas, and every rider that signs up for your event or club gets a free $10 gift card to Rocky Mountain ATVMC. It's that simple. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from Masontown, West Virginia. It is the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com Mountaineer Run GNCC as Caleb Russell checks in, still out front, the #1 spot physically on the racetrack, and only 0.8 of a second, we'll call it, on the adjusted lead over Lane Michael when they checked in at the end of lap #2 there just a few moments ago. Approaching an hour now on the clock as far as the race is concerned, so we got about another 2 hours of racing. Rodney Tomlin along with you, Johnny Gallagher, and also Megawatt Matt Watson out and about giving us all the great coverage. And for those of you folks that are here at the racetrack, I want to let you know that we got a 2016 Polaris Ranger XP up for grabs. It's a 900 and a trailer is included with that. The Albright Volunteer Fire Department is going to is raffling that off. Their drawing is going to be held on October 1st. Stop over to the Albright Volunteer Fire Department booth right here at the vendor row to find out more details on that.
Absolutely. We, great opportunity to potentially win a really good prize there and support a local cause in the process. So, while we were away, we actually had a little bit of a development in some racing action here with Caleb Russell. He was out there. He worked his way through. We did miss him on the shot, but he is still leading the race. You can see, look at the kickers out there in these fields. We've got Dust kicking up. It really is, as you said, as we talked about before, such an advantage to be out front. But Caleb had to work his way to the front, being all the way dead last off the starting line, and now he's the one making the dust and making everybody else chase through it.
Well, if you notice in that whenever Corey was leading there on the first lap, he was actually laying back just a little bit, staying out of the brunt of that dust, and I think that was by design. He knew he could make up a lot of time and catch him in the woods and over those rock sections and stuff, and that's exactly what he's been able to achieve. We're a little over an hour into this one now, Johnny, and, man, it is already so many things have taken place. Again, we got Grant Baylor in the pits right now with the crash going downhill there. They're replacing the whole cooling system there. The one question I have right now, we might want to get over to the beta pits, talk to Rodney Smith and those guys. How is Johnny Albert doing, the Frenchman that is racing here with us this weekend? And we'll also take a look at how Nick Davis is doing with his new ride. He got a podium there at Unadilla. Is he going to get the same magic his second ride out here? That's something we're going to take a look at today. And, being here in Masontown, West Virginia, it's kind of a homecoming, and homecoming means family. And family in the GNCC is all of us as a part of a family. Many of us, well, our dogs are a big part of the family. So last night we were able to showcase some of our family members in the first ever GNCC Kennel Club, or what we like to call last night's. What's that? Oh, that's out there on screen right there. Okay. And, well, last night we got a chance to showcase the fuzzy friends of the GNCC Racing Nation with what we called the West Preston Minster GNCC Kennel Club Dog Show. It was the Mowgli Memorial. Happened right here last night in Pro Row. There you go. Corey Buttrick's little dog. I can't remember that dog's name.
There's two of them, Diesel, and I don't know the other one.
I think it was the other one.
Yeah.
And he said that his special trick or great quality, not necessarily quality, but one of the things that he does very well is eat his brother's poop.
Oh.
Didn't see any of that in the dog show
right.
last
Well,
night.
hopefully that wasn't the skill set that he displayed.
No.
But I'll tell you what,
it was
a great turnout. There was a lot of people there for that event.
Yeah, that was huge. We had over 50 entries in that contest last night, and it was so much fun. Everybody stuck around for that one. I don't even think the bull got to be ridden very much last night because everybody was over here last night. Hey, folks, don't forget to tweet your podium predictions to hashtag GNCC Live for a chance to win $250 in AMSOIL product. Just go on Twitter and pick out 3 guys that you think is going to win. Do you think it's going to be Caleb Russell? Do you think it's going to be Lane Michael? Do you think it's going to be whoever you think is going to be in the top 3? Tweet them and hashtag it GNCC Live. You don't even have to be close to right to get it a chance to win, but we'll be drawing a little later on at random, and of course, that winner will receive $250 in AMSOIL products. It's going to be a great time. So tweet them out, your top 3 podium prediction finishers, and hashtag GNCC Live. Right now, we continue. We asked the question there, Johnny Gallagher, a few moments ago, how was our World Enduro champ doing? He got off to, I got to be honest with you, I was sweating bullets when I saw that. I thought, man, if this guy's going to come over here and show these guys the fast way around the racetrack, maybe these guys aren't as fast as what I thought they were, but I tell you, everybody rose to the occasion today, and it was a good start by Mr. Albert, but unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to keep that pace that he got right off the bat. I think what we see him in at 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, we're actually down here with Zach. We're down here with the Beta team manager, and we're actually talking about Johnny right now. Hey, tell us a little bit about Johnny's day and how things are developing, what we can expect to see for the champ out of the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean, the day's going good. He got off to a good start, and then he completed lap 1, and then on lap 2, he came on, I don't know, somewhere around mile marker 3 and crashed, and I guess Nick stopped for him and helped him quickly, but he's back going. His handguard's gone, but I think he's in good spirits, and we'll just keep him going for the rest of the race. That's the key thing.
All right, on the subject of Nick, since you mentioned him, how's he adapting to the team, and how's everybody starting to gel and mesh?
Yeah, everything's been great with Nick. He's got a positive attitude. He wants to win, and he's moving forward. He's got a group of 3 ahead of him right now, and just progress. We want to keep moving forward. That's the goal.
There you have it, Rodney. Everything on a positive plane down here. Positive mental attitude from Zach, the team manager down here at Beta. Looks like these guys are here to stay and here to play for sure, buddy.
No doubt about it. Nick Davis right now currently 6th place in the XC2 Pro Lights class. We'll run down that one for you. Lane Michael, who's kind of stolen the spotlight here today, got a 55-second lead over 2nd place in that class, and that was last race winner and new to the kind of GNCC and the AmFab AmPro Yamaha team. Talking about Josh Toth, he's back in the number 2 spot on the 206. Craig DeLong now in 3rd place out of Morgantown, PA. I think he was actually running in the 2nd place for a little while, so he's about 6 seconds now behind Toth. I'm not real sure what happened there, but he lost 10 seconds from lap 1 to lap 2. Trevor Bollinger is now up from 6th to 4th. Michael Witkowski, the 282, is now 5th. Nick Davis, 6th. Benjamin Kelly, the other Connecticut rider there, is running in the number 7 spot. Ryder Lafferty, the 336 out of Millville, New Jersey, who is a part of the Mike Lafferty clan, the former former Glory Days National Enduro Champion and stuff, and good to see Ryder out here doing so well in the XC2 Pro Lights. Vance Francis running 9th, and Austin Lee out of Bedford, Indiana, rounds out the top 10 in the XC2 Pro Lights class right now. But like we said, Lane Michael kind of stealing the show. He's kind of a hometown boy, Fairmont, West Virginia, about 30 minutes south of where we're at right now, if that. And these are his home stomping grounds, even though, like he said, he's been living and staying a lot down in North Carolina recently. This is home. This is where he grew up.
Yeah, you know, it definitely, not only the conditions kind of lend themselves to certain riders on certain courses, but also just the feeling of home. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine, you know, Lane could have easily slept in his own bed last night. I mean, he lives not far from here. You know, all obviously friends and family here, a little bit of extra support, familiar surroundings, eating at restaurants that you're familiar with and comfortable with. All those things add up, and they all give you that little bit extra mojo.
Or better yet, Mama's home cooking.
There you go. I didn't even think about that. Showed you how much I eat at home. But, you know, the other thing to consider is, you know, Lane is, he's obviously won some XC2 races. We've seen him do that in the past, so we know he's capable of it. But this track, historically, you know, I've followed Lane's career closely, and this track is a track that he's really had some standout performances, you know, over the years. And if you think all the way back to when it was Lane and Grant Baylor in that 250A class, which was a number of years ago now, you know, Grant won, if I'm not mistaken, won every race one year all the way up until this race, where Lane had him right up until the last lap. Grant was able to get him, but, you know, Grant had been winning by minutes every single race. Lane raced him all the way down to the last lap, and then I think the following season, Lane was actually able to get the best of Grant here in that 250A class. And then again in, you know, XC2 racing, I don't know if he's actually won here. He has won XC2 races in the past. I know one of his first XC2 podiums ever was here at, oh, look at that. Speaking of challenging courses, Caleb Russell very nearly going down, washing the front end, but stays on the gas and stays charging. We should be now looking for the number 5. There it is, Thad Duvall. He's pushing, and we see our camera shaking a little bit there, so he had to hustle to get out of the way of Thad. We'll wait and we'll watch for our third place rider, but there's your top 2, Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall. Thad Duvall's another rider. You know, we're talking about that hometown feel. Doesn't live far from here at all, Williamstown, West Virginia. And, you know, these are conditions and a facility that Thad Duvall is very familiar with and comfortable with.
Yeah, and you got to remember, too, I mean, back when he was in infancy and a young man, he traveled around to a lot of these similar racetracks with his dad that was racing the ATV back in the day in the heartland of GNCC country right here around Morgantown, West Virginia, just outside of Masontown where we're at. So, you know, it means that he obviously is comfortable. There's the 514 machine now of Stu Baylor. He's got things dialed in pretty good again here today. And
up into a podium position.
That is pretty impressive stuff. Now, we got to remember again that, you know, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, he's been quietly progressing. I don't know if you've noticed that. We've been keying in on it, I think, a little toward the end of the race, maybe every once in a while, but I think maybe we might be missing the boat on what's going on there, man. I think that maybe we're seeing the rise of the phoenix, so to speak, there with Stu Baylor.
Yeah, you know, we were talking earlier about, you know, Corey Buttrick and how he's charged back from injuries and trying to work his way back up into contention where we'd seen him in the past. And Stu Baylor's another rider on that same course. You know, we saw him win XC2 titles. We saw him you know, come into the XC1 class injured basically from the time he came in. And there we see Lane Michael, our XC2 leader, working his way through. So he's physically 6th on the course. We've got our top 5 XC1 guys come by, but he is still, we know, in contention for, if not the overall, definitely a podium position as of right now. We'll continue to follow that story as it develops throughout the race. But, you know, with Stu Baylor, it's really been a difficult road with not only injuries but the complications after the surgeries. There's been another number of things with Stu, and I'll be honest, you know, many industry insiders felt that with those wrist injuries, he was not going to be able to ride at the pace necessary to compete for the length of time that the GNCC races are. You know, thinking that he was going to become an enduro specialist because, you know, and he openly said, hey, you know, this is something I can deal with for, you know, 30 minutes at a time, 40 minutes at a time, maybe even an hour. He said after that, it's just the pain becomes too much. I start losing feeling in my fingers. All these things that we've seen over the last couple of years. And, you know, it's just such a heartbreaker to see. But now here we are a few years later, and Stu Baylor is slowly working his way back into contention to be a potential race winner. We saw him on the podium at Georgia this year. We've seen him in the top 5 a number of times, and he's consistently running in these top positions.
And that might be the best road he could take, too, because you remember, I mean, he's always been that that flash of brilliance, man. I mean, he comes in, he just kind of dominates, and this might be the best way to give him the best roots he could have as a possible future champion if he can work into that realm.
Absolutely. You know, a little bit of confidence here and there, and like you said, confidence goes a long way. Tell you what, we've seen a shake-up in our XC2 class. Josh Toth still in second. We saw Lane Michael come by. We did see Josh Toth in second. Here we see Grant Baylor on screen. Now, he is a lap down, but he's gone back out on track. They were able to get that machine fixed. He went ripping out of the pits and, you know, in search of hopefully trying to salvage some points, or if nothing else, at least get some, you know, seat time in today to prepare himself when we go racing again in just another 7 days. But second place in that XC2 class, Josh Toth on that Ampro Yamaha there. Again, putting in another solid ride in only his second ride on that machine after winning his debut ride just a week ago at Unadilla. Third place now is the number 10 of Trevor Bollinger, our points leader. We do know that he's you know, got a commanding points lead in that XC2 overall championship. But Toth, you know, is able to really start picking up some momentum here, and that's something that these guys are going to want to stop. And also, Trevor Bollinger, one of his closer threats in the championship would be Lane Michael. I don't know mathematically where things stand and if it's possible who can and who can't still win that championship. I know the closest rider to him is Craig DeLong, a rider that he actually passed this lap. DeLong was there in that third place spot. As we saw on camera, Bollinger has made his way around DeLong. DeLong is now in that fourth place spot. And here we see our fifth place rider, Nick Davis. He has caught and gotten around Mike Witkowski. So there is your fifth and sixth place riders in that XC2 class.
Well, interesting developments there, and you know, it's odd. I mean, Trevor, what we saw out of Trevor Bollinger before the break and what we're seeing out of Trevor Bollinger after the break. I talked to him there. I didn't get a chance to talk to him today, but I talked to him there in New York, and his mindset just seemed to be, man, he's in championship mode and salvage mode, just get the points that's necessary. He's not pushing any envelopes, not risking any injury. He's just wanting to get through this season, get that number 1 plate, and be ready to face the future, and I think that's what he's going to do. We'll find out how his day will end here for sure in Masontown, West Virginia, as well as we'll keep you up to date on what's going on with Caleb Russell and Lane Michael as they battle for the overall win. Leaders due in about 4 minutes, and we'll be back in about 2 here on GNCC Live.
The Andersons discovered life is easier with an Outlaw RV. The Outlaw is a complete home on wheels with a multifunctional garage. Getting on the road has never been quicker. The Outlaw is made to fit the lifestyle of today's active families. So stop roughing it and start enjoying your weekends. Find the Thor Motor Coach Outlaw that fits your needs at GarageRVs.com today.
You smell it, you feel it, you can taste it in the air. Speed, man. Full wide open. Blast. I didn't really like high school too much. Too booky, too take notes, learn this, and that's it. Yeah, WildTech, that full-size motorcycle. The feeling of taking them apart every day, putting them back together. You can't explain it. Everything I learned applies to now. Seeing your motorcycle that you put together right around the track at 180 miles an hour, oh, definitely rewarding. My name's Mike. My school's WildTech.
Get on the fast track to a career. Turn pro at WildTech.
When it comes to guarding your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance enthusiasts demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond protection it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher and Megawatt Matt Watson as we bring the call from Masontown, West Virginia here on RacerTV.com. It is the Mountaineer Run GNCC, and it's all brought to us this weekend by our good friends at Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Right now looking at Caleb Russell out front by only 0.8 of a second when they checked in at the end of the second lap of racing over Lane Michael, who was leading on time adjustments the lap before. We see some changes going on there, and physically second place on the racetrack right now, I believe, is Thad Duvall. We now see Stu Baylor, the 5:14, third place physically on the track. But the big story has been Lane Michael, Johnny Gallagher.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Caleb Russell on screen there, and then he went away. But that was our leader, Caleb Russell, working his way through. He should be popping out into this field here in just a matter of a minute or two. So Caleb Russell still leading the way from what we saw on screen. He's definitely, you know, doesn't look to be really overriding, but he's pushing a good pace, and it looks as though he may be trying to open up that gap on Thad Duvall. But what's going to happen is, Thad Duvall, this is one of those things we talked about Lane Michael and how this is potentially his home track and a track that he could do really well in. Thad Duvall is one of the few guys you talk to that he will outright tell you, I love rocks, man.
Yeah.
I love the rocks. Absolutely love them. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if last night Thad took a blanket, not even a pillow, just went out in the woods here up above this hillside in Mason Town, laid down in a rock garden, laid his head on a rock, and went to bed and slept like a baby. He just loves those things, man. Absolutely loves them. I don't understand how it's possible, but nobody loves rocks like Thad Duvall does. Now we see Ricky Russell. We believe this is our 4th place rider. We think that we have missed the 2nd and 3rd place riders. We did see Caleb Russell briefly. Thad Duvall, we believe, is still 2nd. And 3rd, we think to be Stu Baylor still, the number 514 SRT KTM machine.
There you go. There is the number 1 making his way to the finish line. We are hearing now that there are some changes in the up front there as the 2nd place position, Thad, and now Ricky Russell is in 3rd.
And there is Stu Baylor in 4th. So Russell, a man on a mission. We saw him, the other Russell, Ricky Russell, a man on a mission. We saw him back in about the 7th or 8th place spot early. Then we saw him charge up. We noted he had gotten into the top 5. Now he's into the top 3.
That's pretty impressive. And something else I think is pretty neat. Ricky is a West Coast rider out of the great state of Washington. There's Corey Buttrick in the lower right-hand part of our screen, by the way, making his way through the section. I think that puts him about 7th or so. But interesting to me is the actual response that Ricky Russell gets from fans at all the racetracks that we go to. Thad is one of the most, you hear the cheers and everything with that, but Ricky Russell's got a big following too here on the East Coast, kind of surprising to me in a way.
I'll tell you what, there's 2 things that factor into that in my opinion. Ricky Russell's a great guy. You don't have to spend 2 minutes with him to see that he's just chock full of personality. Here he is on screen, upper left corner of your screen, Ricky Russell, the number 212 on that MCS Suzuki, decked out in all that cool fly gear. Look at him. He's that helmet just glows as though it's plugged in, and he's out there pushing. And you know what? You just got to feel great for this guy. He came here. Rodney, you know his story, obviously, but some of the folks at home may not. Came here, drove cross-country in his van with his girlfriend, Jenna. They came out here with a couple of machines. They got here before the season even started. Both machines were broke. He wasn't, just in training, getting ready for the first couple races. He wasn't going to be able to race the season opener. Paul Wibley took him kind of under his wing, said, hey, man, here's a practice bike of mine. Go out, race it. He raced it in Florida to a top 10 finish in his first ever GNCC. And he's just such a great guy. He ended up sticking around that whole season. Ended up racing Yamahas on his own dime, privateer deal. Came back the following year. Jumped into that XC2 class, was in a heated battle for a championship, actually leading the points when he had a broken wrist, broken hand. I don't remember exactly what the injury was. Had to sit out the rest of that season. Then with the rule change, he was no longer eligible for that XC2 class, so he had to jump up to our XC1 class for the first time, and he's really mixing it up and doing well, and now we see him running in a podium place position.
Yeah, these a lot of great strides for a lot of riders this year, and we've seen a lot of maturing, I think, from a lot of riders. We've seen some riders with struggles, obviously, like Grant Baylor we're watching on screen right now. But these are all moments that help us, I think, are helping these guys grow. The struggles that Ricky went through there for a few years, I think it helped him grow into the rider that he's becoming. I think that the struggles that Grant is experiencing right now are going to help him to grow into an even better rider and possible champion someday.
Absolutely. Just to finish up that thought on Ricky, because I kind of got off track telling his cool story, not only is he a nice guy, he really truly is the everyman. He drove here in a van from Washington. He kind of slept on people's couches. They crashed at Randy Hawkins' bunkhouse there in Travelers Rest, South Carolina for a while. I think now, if I'm not mistaken, he's kind of based up out around Indiana somewhere, out of the MCS area, that MCS Suzuki team that he's riding for, staying at people's houses. But he's doing it on a shoestring budget. He's trying to make a way for himself, and the whole time he's got a smile on his face and a great attitude.
He does, and the great thing about that is exactly what Big Dave Coombs set this out to be for sure. There's Caleb Russell in the pits right now getting a quick splash of gas, drink of water, and he's back out and going. But that's exactly what Dave, and that's neat. And I think it would be kind of an honor if Ricky Russell can actually get on the podium here today so close to the home offices of Racer Productions and in the heartland of where it all began as far as GNCC, that would be kind of striking the iron right there, saying this is what Big Dave wanted whenever he had it. He wanted everybody to have that opportunity. If they've got a dream, come live it, and that's exactly what Ricky Russell's doing right now, and I'd love to see him. I think that'd be great to see him on the podium. It'd be a good way to put an explanation point on this Mountaineer Run GNCC.
I'll tell you what, it would be tough to argue the point that that would have to be one of our feel-good stories of the day, feel-good stories of the month, feel-good stories of the year, to see Ricky Russell up on that podium, the journey that he's had to get here, the tough road that he's had to hoe, the injuries, all the the financial sacrifices that he's made. This year, again, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not speaking out of turn. I don't speak with Ricky daily, but I know his girlfriend hasn't been able to attend this year. She's home working, trying to kind of get things rolling for their life financially, and Ricky's here trying to make make ends meet and try and maybe get himself a ride. He's obviously got a great ride with that MCS Suzuki team, but maybe trying to drag in some bigger financial support for them that for that team to help them go to the next level. And doing a great job of it right now. You couldn't help but see the fact that this guy's just having a great time on his dirt bike right now, and man, is it showing.
No doubt, and he's got a great team. Mike Brown and those guys down there at MCS. I mean, they have such great camaraderie down there. The whole team. I mean, everybody from the guys that are helping out to all the guys that are racing. That is a well-meshed team, and I think Ricky found a good home down there. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. Those are great guys. This is their first year with that in kind of the larger capacity that they have this year with with the spot on Pro Row there with the manufacturer backing and some great riders there. So it's good to see them having success, and I can assure you that if Ricky can hold on and turn this into a podium finisher, who knows, even better for the day. We've still got a lot of racing time left. If he can do that, I think those guys are going to be having big smiles on their faces at the end of the day, just like I'm sure they all do right now. And
Corey Buttrick in for a quick splash of gas and a quick drink as well, as we are now 3 laps deep into this, working on lap number 4. We've had about the top 15 or so check in. Caleb Russell continuing to lead this one on physical and adjusted time. Thad Duvall now running second, about 21.5 seconds back. Lane Michael has dropped to the number 3 overall spot. His lap time dropping to a 27:13, but still a very commendable lap time. He's got about a second lead over Ricky Russell on adjusted time right now. So Ricky is not only battling physically, trying to catch up to Thad, whom he is right now almost 45 seconds behind, but he's also got Lane to contend with on that time adjustment right now.
Well, here's another thing to consider. I mean, obviously Lane Michael out there, I'm sure he would love to win this overall, love to be on the podium. That's a great goal, but his main goal needs to be focusing on winning that XC2 race.
And I'd say that's what it is, honestly.
Absolutely, and I think we're seeing that in the lap times and in the way he's riding. Not saying obviously your top 3. What's happening is those guys are battling. Caleb Russell is still trying to open up a bigger gap on Thad Duvall. Only 21 seconds. That's not a comfortable enough gap if you're in Caleb's shoes. So he's going to be pushing. Thad Duvall obviously pushing, trying to close up that gap. He wants to beat Thad Duvall. Ricky Russell is pushing his face completely off his body because he so badly wants to be on that podium and get up there and battle with those guys. So, and Lane sees pit boards and they're telling him, you've got a pretty big lead. He's got over a minute on second place or roughly a minute. He's got to be somewhat settling into a pace, you would think.
Rodney, that's a racer thinking like a racer and telling you what a racer thinks right there, because you can only imagine that's exactly what's going through their minds right now.
And the man that may very well be maybe not writing the pit board messages, but probably relaying the pit board messages to the guys that are writing them, Barry Hawk. He's been in this position so many times, and with his expertise and knowing that when you're pushing at 100%, you're upping your opportunity for mistakes.
Right.
So if Lane Michael is able to keep a consistent lead on that XC2 class, as much as you want to see him on that overall podium, man, the XC2 win is what he's here to do today. So, not saying that he's not going as fast as he could, but I think they're telling him, hey, keep it steady, keep it smooth, let the overall take care of itself. How many times have we heard it over the years? We've heard guys say, XC2 guys, I'm not worried about the overall. I'm just worried about, winning the XC2 class. And sometimes it translates into podium finishes. Sometimes it doesn't.
Right, exactly. And with us being so close to home, again, I think it's just neat to have this whole home atmosphere being in the shadows of the Racer production office, just minutes away from where we are right now on Marvin's Mountaintop. And, seeing Lane Michael just being a neighbor of south of Morgantown down in Fairmont, West Virginia, doing so well, that's great. I mean, that's it goes back to the roots of it all, I think. And, you know, speaking of the roots of it all, we had a chance to stop over at the Racer Productions office and caught up with Davey Coombs, who gave us a lot of insight about Racer Productions and all the great things that go on right there in Morgantown, West Virginia.
When the company started, we were working out of our house on Brockway Avenue. And then in '75, we moved out to Cheat Lake and had a garage that we Mom and Dad turned into a little bit of an office. So, you know, half of it was dirt bikes, the other half was a desk. And then it just evolved from there to the point where when Racer X started, we had to get an actual farmhouse to use as an office. And then it evolved and grew to the point where we had to get a bigger building. And the Ethan Allen Furniture Building happened to be vacant and the perfect size for what we wanted to do. And now we're still here, been here for about 12 years, and it's the perfect building for the kind of things that we do, because there's a lot of people that work here and a lot of people, a lot of different responsibilities, but it's all sort of interactive, whether you're on the magazine side or the production side. But we grew up on Brockway Avenue here in Morgantown, West Virginia, and I think we all just decided to stay here. My brother and sister and I all graduated from WVU, and we were lucky enough to get to see the world, even though we stayed in the same town our whole lives, because racing took us everywhere from Japan to Europe to wherever. Morgantown's a really cool town. You have the universities here. You have a lot of resources that you can take advantage of. And when your commute is 4 miles, that's a pretty good way to go to work every day. And yeah, it's a fun place to be and a fun place to work.
And David giving a great look at the Racer Production and the story.
When the company started, we were working
that's
out
pretty neat story. I mean, you think about the big picture.
I'll tell you what, you know, everybody likes to involve themselves in a story, and I have no part in the Racer Production story, but I've had a front row seat to it for quite some time. You know, I got to tell you, going all the way back to the you know, the mid-'90s, early '90s even, I used to ride around with Davey on the back of his Fat Cat at the GNCCs while Big Dave, you know, was prepping these tracks, and he was out there, and GNCC was in its infancy compared to what it is today. I've been at these races since it was called the Weisco 100 Miler Series. I've been coming to these races since 1982. I was 4 years old. Vividly remember pitting for my dad when I was 5. The reason I vividly remember is I screwed up his pit stop, and he threw a water jug at me, which I deserved, you know. But nonetheless, I do, you know, clearly remember riding around with Davey on the back of a Fat Cat and taking handwritten notes, reporting, with him taking pictures, and I was really good at spotting the riders, even though I was only 7, 8, 9 years old. And he would, you know, we would be watching, and he would say, all right, here comes, you know, at the time it was Kevin Hines and Scott Plessinger and, you know, all those guys that were out there battling. And I'd say, okay, here comes Hines, and, you know, he'd write it down and he'd take the picture, and that became the racing paper, which is another, you know, another spin-off of Racer Productions and obviously MX Sports and all of these different things that have evolved from this to them, you know, now owning or managing the, you know, the Outdoor Motocross Series, the Loretta Lynn's, which Big Dave started, you know, and it's just a big conglomerate of great things for this sport. And to see what it's come from, again, you know, he was in his teens, I'm sure, at the time, riding around on a Fat Cat reporting, turned it into the racing paper, printed it, you know, at a local print shop in Morgantown. It is now Racer X Illustrated, one of the biggest publications in the world. And again, you know, this series started as just a dream and some people working out of a pickup truck. Now there's, you know, 18-wheelers rolling in by the dozen, you know, employees by the hundreds, and but at its core, it's still about the same thing, and that's people getting together, racing dirt bikes, having a good time, family atmosphere, and competition.
Real American story right there.
That's right.
It really is. I mean, I get goosebumps. I mean, I talk about it sometimes, and hearing other people talk about it, it actually gives me goosebumps, because just knowing that I'm a part of such a big dream and being able to help and witness a lot of the history that we have in the off-road racing world, just amazing.
Not a part, sir. The voice of GNCC Racing, Rodney Tomlin. Been around, you know, it's been an honor to watch you work and to hopefully learn a little bit from you. I try. It's nobody could ever do what you do, that's for sure.
Well, that's probably a good thing in a lot of respect, but all in all, I appreciate that, Johnny. And yeah, I have been coming to these things since the mid to late 1990s, and Started announcing on a regular basis with John Ayers back in 2002, and haven't looked back since then, man. It's certainly a passion of mine. I don't know that it was ever a dream, but it turned into a major passion, that's for sure. I just fell into it, and I fell in love with it.
You know, it's hard. You would be hard pressed to find someone who hasn't come to a GNCC and truly immersed themselves in it and hasn't been affected by it and become drawn to it. It's such an infectious atmosphere. The competition, the camaraderie, the family aspect of it. It's just something that it gets in your blood, and nothing can ever chase you away. That's for sure. I mean,
we had 70-some-year-old men on the starting line this morning. 74-year-old, 76 maybe as much as riders participating in this morning's 10 o'clock race. I thought that was phenomenal.
Absolutely. You know, it gets in your blood, and you can't get rid of it, and you wouldn't want to.
I don't think so. I don't want to. That's for sure. Ain't no cure for this disease, and I ain't looking for one.
There we go. New GNCC slogan T-shirt. GNCC Racing. There is no cure.
There is no cure. I don't want one.
We got the fever.
There you go. Hey, man, Moto T's, listen up. Hey, right now we're watching these rock gardens, and again, you know, we've talked a lot about these, but what kind of changes have we seen from lap 1 to now, Johnny? We are 4 laps into this part of the racetrack right now, and I'm sure it's a lot different after that 4 laps, and probably even more so than yesterday when you guys came through on the 4-wheelers.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the not just the rock gardens, the track is a living, breathing organism. You know, it changes as the traffic works its way through the riders. Every time they grab a handful of throttle and those knobby tires just dig into the dirt, you know, it changes the surface a little bit. Normally, it just kind of gets rutted out, it gets whooped out. Well, here it's a little bit different because the rocks, you're not going to get rid of them. You can move them around. But what happens is you dig the dirt out around the rocks, it loosens them up, they start rolling, or in some cases you get big holes in front of and behind those rocks, and it really makes those sections that are already challenging even more complicated. Had the opportunity this morning to be out there checking out several different areas of the course, some technical, some faster sections, and the course is ever evolving, and you know, to see how quickly it's evolving now with, you know, these guys out there just really hard on the throttle. Each lap when these guys come, you know, we've talked so many times in the past about mud holes and how a line that's good one lap may not be good the following. Well, the same is true of these rock gardens. As the rocks move around, and sometimes they fall into place and almost get smoother, and you can get a kind of a better run through. But you know, all it takes is one flat rock to flip up on end to completely make that line useless. And now, you know, you've got to find a new one. So you've got to keep your head on a swivel. You got to keep keep looking ahead and pick those lines as you come in.
No doubt. I like the statement you made, a living, breathing organism.
It's true. I mean,
constantly growing and changing. Yeah.
You know, especially when you know it's dusty like this, or you know, it's muddy and maybe vision is a little bit challenging. As a racer, you have a tendency to kind of visualize, or at least I do. You can't just assume that everything's going to be the same as it was the lap before, but you're kind of envisioning ahead. Okay, I know at the bottom of this, you know, downhill, I've got a left-hander, there's some rocks in it, then I'm going to hop up on that ledge, and you're kind of thinking of what's coming ahead while you're reacting to what's actually happening in front of you. And the dynamic thing about a race course like this is, you know, you can come into a section, and although it looks the same from about 40 yards out, when you get up there, you realize that things have moved, and even though it's only maybe three or 4 feet different, you know, you need to run a completely different line and attack that section completely differently. So again, yeah, it is. I believe it to be a living, breathing organism. It changes just as though it's got a mind of its own, and you know, it really is the last final obstacle that you have to conquer to be successful.
Yeah, and you know, a big question. Oh, there comes Caleb Russell, and this right here might answer the question I was just getting ready to ask. When you attack a situation like this, I noticed that a lot of the ATV guys that were getting through this better and smoother than they were actually coming in at a higher rate of speed, and I have to tend to believe in thinking that that might actually be the best way to attack it, because your suspension is actually working best at speed, I think.
Have you ever heard the paradigm risk-reward?
Right.
It is a big risk to run that rock section like Caleb Russell just did, and it is a big risk to, you know, take the chance of just one bounce the wrong way, and you are on the ground and you're not feeling good. But when it all goes smoothly, it's a big reward. Caleb Russell probably just pulled Thad Duvall at least a few seconds right in.
Oh, yeah.
And Thad Duvall was not going slow by any means through there, but Caleb Russell was just railing. That's a lap rider we see there coming through. But, you know, Russell out front starting to stretch that gap out even more. over Thad Duvall in that second place spot. Next rider we should be looking for, there he is, the 2:12 of Ricky Russell. He is actually closing up that gap, I believe, on Thad Duvall.
Yeah, look at how fast he's going through. He's rowdy. He's Ricky Russell.
He's rough and rowdy Ricky Russell. A thing we haven't talked about, we talked about Ricky coming from Washington. We talked about, all his oh, there we go. Oh my goodness, did you see that? Stu Baylor came in, risk reward. That explains it. He washed the front end and just about went down, and if he would have landed in a nice soft bed of granite. Sharp granite at that. But Ricky Russell is an old endurocross rider from back in his pre-GNCC career, so he's used to these more technical skills, the throttle control, the bike balance. I've seen him do some things on a dirt bike, that just lets you know right away, hey, here's a guy that's got some technical skill, almost bordering on trials rider.
I think Megawatt's over in the beta pits with an update on our French rider.
Yeah, sure enough, over here with Zach, again, team manager. Zach, just noticed Johnny come in. You guys working on the brakes. Tell us exactly what happened.
Yeah, he just butched his clutch cable, unfortunately, so got him to get back going, and hopefully that'll be the last of the problems of the race.
All right, looks like you guys were able to swap him out. Did a real good job, real quick job, got him back on the track. That's the only problems we were seeing?
Yep, that's the only problem. So, looking forward to the rest of the day. Come back. We got an hour and a half to make up some time.
Awesome. There you have it, Rodney.
All righty, thanks a lot. So that two-time World Enduro champ, Mr. Johnny Albert there, really, man, got off to a blistering great start. I was thinking, oh my, we are in trouble, but he obviously has settled into a pace, ran into some problems out there, got that clutch cable replaced, so he's going to be back out and pushing. We'll try to keep an eye on him. Let's take a look at some things we haven't talked about yet, Johnny, as we are just past the halfway point, and we will take a look at all of our classes, top 5 and all these classes here in just a moment, but let's take a look at this top 20 overall. Let's start seeing how the top amateur is starting to shape up, because the American Cargo's top amateur awards that we're going to be giving away later are really starting to develop now that we are at the halfway point of this race, it looks like. We've got 250A leader, class leader out of Masontown. And Zach Nolan, man, I mean, nobody's going to ride it any better than him, I don't think, out there. So he's 19th place overall, got off to the whole shot in that class. So 19th place overall, he's leading the top amateur as we speak at this moment. Second place, who's 53 seconds behind him, is Mason Atherton out of Clarion, Pennsylvania, who's not real far from here, I don't think, whenever you look at the big picture there. So those two 250A riders are in contention for the top amateur. You also got in 24th and 25th overall a couple of 4-stroke A lights riders who's only about 3.5 seconds apart, Dustin Simpson and Braxton McGee. So there's the 4 that we're looking at least for the moment, that could be in contention for top amateur overall honors today.
Yeah, and that's always a dynamic battle to watch. Those guys, oh, look at this. Oh, no. Jordan Ashburn is down in the rocks. He's able to get that leg out and get it salvaged, but again, that's you see a lot of the lap riders as they're coming through are A and B class riders. They got the outriggers out, and the XC1 and XC2 guys, and there we see Josh Strang. So he is closed up now on Jordan Ashburn. Strang out there trying to salvage some points. Ashburn, and there we see now Baylor. Again, we have to keep in mind he is in fact a lap down, but he's in there mixing it up with those guys.
So what's his mindset right now, Johnny? Does he know that he's a lap down, just say to heck with it and try to ride with these guys and see that he's got that pace late in the race, you think?
I think that's exactly what you're seeing, Rodney. And I did not see, unfortunately, if Bollinger and Toth have come through, but there is Craig DeLong, who we last knew was 4th in our XC2 class. We'll have to watch the screen here and see if we see any more from those top 5 guys in that XC2. We did see Lane Michael come through. We know he is still leading. Everything else is kind of up in the air. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I think the mindset for Grant Baylor, as you were pointing out there, Rodney, is that he's in kind of a good position as far as where he popped out on the track. He got right in with some guys that he might normally be racing with. So it's just kind of a confidence builder for him to say, obviously I know I can go fast. If it weren't for that mistake, I would have been right in there battling for a podium position or, a top 5. If it were not for that unfortunate mistake of washing the front end on the downhill there.
Well, our leader is due in around 3 minutes right now, a little over 3 minutes. Russell is our expected first place rider, as he had a 21.5 second lead last time through over Thad Duvall. In time adjustment, third place Lane Michael, who's the leader of the XC2 Pro Lights class. Taking a look at that, he was actually pushing about 50 seconds or so behind Thad Duvall on adjusted time. So Lane's lap time's dropping back a little bit. I don't know. I know he had a pit stop and things like that, but it wasn't too extended. But nonetheless, I think Lane started focusing and probably wasn't even thinking about overall. And then once he got that far ahead, thought, well, I'm in a safe zone right now. Let's just hang on to this. And if that's the case, Lane could keep that safe zone and maybe take it all the way home to an overall podium. But again, as much as I'm sure he wants that, his focus is on that XC2 class win, and that's what he's looking at. Ricky Russell, on the other hand, he's looking at, again, some big things if he gets on that podium, because that could be the first step in the right direction that he, well, maybe not the first step, because we've seen him take a lot of great steps already, but that could be the next step into what he needs to reach the level that we believe and feel that Ricky is capable of achieving here in the East Coast in GNCC racing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's baby steps, and he's making a big one today here, that's for sure, with potentially looking at a podium position. You know, that would be a huge step in the career for Ricky Russell. You know, we've seen him on the XC2 overall, or on the XC2 podium, and also with XC2 class wins. But here in the XC1 class, to see him with the podium place position would be absolutely just huge for his confidence, huge for his career, huge for that MCS Suzuki team. So many things that would definitely go a long way in making him, helping him get to the next level here. We're waiting and we're watching. Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall and Ricky Russell are the three guys that we're waiting and watching for. They should be working their way through to this spot where we're watching the live feed from. We've got there's Sean Remington, one of our senior A-class riders, I believe, or Vet A. And then we see some more A-class and B-class riders working their way through. Rodney Tomlin, we've got oh, there we go. Caleb Russell, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. We've been waiting and watching, and here he is. And, well, man, he's really charging now.
He really is, and here's the really cool thing about this. This is the great transition and segue. There is today's king, if you will, of the off-road and GNCC racing, and sitting beside me right here, right now, is, you know, we talk about this being a homecoming and everything, Megawatt, but this man right here that is sitting beside me right here, we are in the presence of greatness, and it's a great honor to meet this gentleman right here, Mr. Jimmy Maltba.
Rodney, we are indeed in the presence of greatness. This guy, a childhood hero of mine, lived in the same town. And when I was about the age of 12 or 14, if you wanted to ride, if you wanted to have style, you needed to look like Jimmy Maltba. And it's such a pleasure. We've been trying to get him in here with us. Rodney, you know, having this guy with us, the very first GNCC champion, I'm going to turn it over to you right now.
That's right. The very first ever GNCC champion, Jimmy Maltba. Jimmy, shaking your hand, buddy. I really appreciate the honor to meet you, my brother.
Thank you.
And welcome to Mason Town, man. I just got to ask you a question. From so many years ago when you won that first GNCC title, what's it like now by comparison to then? Has there been a lot of changes, and what's it like?
Major changes. It's just amazing how far this sport has come along. You know, thanks to the hard work of everyone involved, the Coombs family. It's just amazing to see.
It is. It most certainly is. Now, I got to ask you, what have you been doing with yourself lately? You still ride much, or are you got kids that ride or anything?
I haven't been on a motorcycle in about 16 years. So, no, I'm not riding, but I still love to come to the races, watch, and support the GNCCs.
So what's the biggest surprise to you? I mean, if you look back on it then and now, I mean, what's the best thing about it that you think now, by comparison today, as it was years ago?
Just the level of support and the money involved. It's really taken things to you know, a great level.
It most certainly has. And here we are live streaming across the World Wide Web on RacerTV.com. That's another pretty big step too, huh?
Absolutely. I watch you every time you're on.
Well, Jimmy, I appreciate that, man. And you have no idea how honored I am to be sitting right here next to you right now.
Hey, I got to let the cat out of the bag, though. He's got me hunting for a 1984 IT200 right now, so I got to let the cat out of the bag, man. He's shaking his head. When I find the right one, you're going to see Jimmy back out here in the Silver Masters class or the Golden Masters class. I'm not sure, but we're going to see him on an IT200 for sure.
You know, every time you get to one of these races, you get the fever.
Yeah. So I think you got a bug then, right? Is that what you're telling?
That's right. right. Yeah.
He's going to be hard to contend with when it gets on. Jimmy, thanks for stopping in, brother.
Thank
Good
you.
talking to you. The first ever GNCC champion right there, Mr. Jimmy Maltba. An honor, a privilege. Wow, Megawatt, that is so cool, man. I mean, thanks for bringing him over. I would have never even realized he was here, man. I mean, this is a true GNCC homecoming. I mean, we've got champions from the past. Rodney Smith's here. We've even got greats like Steve Hatch here. Fred Andrews is here. You name it, man. I mean, they're coming in by the droves. Barry Hawk is here.
And now the Godfather's here, Jimmy Maltba, man.
There you go.
Okay, that's how I got to put
OG.
it. And, yeah, the OG for real, man. And honestly, I was headed over there to the beta pits, and I said, as soon as I'm done with Mike Brown, and you did your halfway point, I said, we got to announce, because I talked to Jimmy 2 weeks ago, and he said, yes, I'll be there. And I said, you come to the Racer Studios, and, man, it's our privilege and our honor to have you in there, man. Here I come back, and there he stands right in front of us. So, dude, thank you so much, Jimmy. I can't thank you enough, buddy.
All right, man. That's Jimmy Maltba again, and we're, like you said, Megawatt, check in with the updates and the top 5 in all of our classes here about the midway point after about 3 or so laps of racing complete. And this is what things are looking like after 4 laps now complete for the XC1 Pro class. Russell is in, Duvall is in, Ricky Russell is in 3rd place. Stuart Baylor is in 4th place. Here's the gaps. Duvall about 39, call it 40 seconds, basically behind Caleb Russell right now, with Ricky Russell another 21 seconds back in 3rd. Stuart Baylor is another 28 and a half or so seconds back into the 4th place position. And we wait at this moment for the next riders to check in, as these riders will determine whether or not Lane is going to be in the top 3 overall yet or not, because remember, he was just moments away, just a few seconds away from being pushed out of a top 3 overall by Ricky Russell there. Lap times that time around 26:53 for Caleb Russell, 27:11 for Thad Duvall. And check this out. Rough and rowdy Ricky Russell with the fastest lap so far at 26:47. Stu Baylor at 26:54. He's just a second slower than Caleb Russell. So some guys are really starting to pick up pace here late in the race, Ricky Russell and Stu Baylor. And this is amazing to see them be able to achieve just that in these conditions and this type of terrain. So hats off to those riders. And we continue to wait right now. Still, we got in Lane Michael has checked in, and he is now 5th place overall after time adjustments. 2 minutes and 8 seconds behind Stu Baylor. In 6th place overall. 5th in the XC1 Pro class is Corey Buttrick. Josh Toth checks in, I believe. No, he has not checked in yet. We're waiting on Toth to check in that 7th place position aboard the 206. He was 1 minute and 8 seconds behind Lane Michael at the end of that 3rd lap of racing. And right now we wait in this 4th lap to see whether or not Toth has been able to inch up any on Lane Michael for the 2nd place position in the XC2 Pro Lights. I'm beginning to think and wonder that maybe that gap has started to open up just a little bit more. And I'm going to give it just a few more seconds, then we're going to start hitting some of these other classes in our midway report. There we got a rider checking in, Corey Buttrick. Actually, Josh Toth did check in. He's now 6th place overall. He gets around Buttrick on time adjustments. And the gap behind Lane Michael now for Josh Toth, they're running 5th and 6th overall. They're 1 minute and 8 seconds apart. Toth actually turned about a 7-second faster lap that last time around over Lane Michael. So the gap is closing, but there's still a minute and just over an hour of racing to go. We see Trevor Bollinger is checked in 3rd place in the XC2 Pro Lights class. He is 8th place overall. Craig DeLong is 4th place in the XC2 Pro Lights, checking in 9th place overall. Jordy Ashburn, whom we've seen go down in the FMF PowerPoint section there a moment ago, rounds out your top 10 there in the XC1 or in the overall. And in the XC2 Pro Lights, I still think that keeps him at about a 7th or 6th place position. So Jordan Ashburn not having the worst of days today, even with some struggles that he's had. Josh Strain coming in with that injury to the ankle. He's still holding on to a top 10 in class, but 11th place overall is where we're seeing the freight train run right now on that Rockstar Husqvarna. Now let's take a check on some of these other classes as we check in with our first A class now. Craig Daft leading, or actually B class. Craig Daft leading the Open B class On the 807s out of Elkins, West Virginia, the 812 Zach Perry out of Myersdale, Pennsylvania. 1 second flat behind him in second. Dominic Jarvis, a 373 out of Wallace, West Virginia. 155 back in third. Fourth place, Matt Bruffy, the 720 out of Weston, West Virginia, and the 519 Ryan McManus out of Nelsonville, Ohio, rounds out your top 5 of the Open B class. Next, we go to the 250 B class, where Noah Stevens out of Valdez, North Carolina, has a 1 minute and 24-second lead over Little Timmy Steiner, the 236 out of Van Etten, New York. Michael Adam, the 355 from Parma Heights, Ohio, is running in third. Then the 247 Matthew Davis out of Bertrandville, Pennsylvania, is fourth. Jonathan Harker out of Morgantown, near a hometown boy, if you will, 359, rounds out the top 5 in the 250B class. As we move next to see Teague Securo leading the 200B class. He actually got the whole shot in that class. 311 out of Fairmont, West Virginia, with Johnny Manera, the number 357 out of Millville, New Jersey, in second. Hank Hayes, as we like to call him, the 539 of Oakdale, Pennsylvania, one of the top motocross stars as a youth pilot for many, many years, and now making some pretty big waves here in the off-road racing world in GNCC. Nathan Davis, the 463. He's out of Vail, North Carolina, in fourth. Adam Parker out of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, rounds out the top 5 on the 371. As we take a look next at Justin Murphy leading the 4-stroke B lights class. He's out of Morgantown, West Virginia, in a minute and 11 seconds over the 292 Troy Lieberman out of Columbus, North Carolina. Another Morgantown, West Virginia rider, Colton Cup, the 91, is third. Brendan Poling out of Grafton, West Virginia, the 326, is fourth. And Hunter Williams, the 229 out of Sophia, North Carolina, who got the whole shot in this class, is rounding out the top 5. And the 4-stroke B lights class. The Bet B class sees Wayne Skidmore out of Mount Savage, Maryland, leading this one. Bill Zabindi, I believe, might have battled for the early lead in that one aboard the 103 out of Cabot, PA. Elyria, Ohio's Mike Barber, the 414, and third. Jared Hoffman, the 470 out of South Park, Pennsylvania, is fourth. Joshua Doman out of Rawlings, Maryland, the 415, rounds out your top 5. As we look next at the senior B class, Jeffrey Flynn, the 232 from Old Fields, West Virginia, just ahead, a minute and 7.5 seconds of the 372 of Chris Broombaugh out of Williamsburg, Pennsylvania. The number 3 ride belongs to the 899 of Chris Lynn from Vincent, Ohio, and Amherst, Ohio, the home headquarters for KTM in North America there. Darren Darmos, the 931, in fourth, and Leon Whitaker, the 149 out of Warren, Ohio, rounds out your top 5 in the senior B 40-plus class. Next, we take a look at the Pro Lights class, as we pointed out. Michael Toth, Trevor Bollinger in third, Craig DeLong in fourth. Mike Witkowski is your 5th-place ride. So look a little further back in this class. It's Benjamin Kelly in 6th, Ryder Lafferty in 7th, Vance Francis in 8th, Nick Davis in 9th, and Austin Lee rounds out your top 10. Open A class, Dylan Rash out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the 37, a minute and 1 second ahead of the 48 of Brady Myers out of Walker, West Virginia. The 370, Michael Pillar from Dover, Ohio, running in the number 3 spot. 4th place, Levi Keller, the 385 from Bainbridge, Ohio. Troutman, North Carolina, is home to the 360 of Tyler Bruton. Bruton is rounding out the top 5. As we go next to the 250A class, Masontown, West Virginia. Literally, I mean, right over the hill is where this guy lives. Zach Nolan, the 721, grew up in the GNCC ranks through the youth ranks and had an illustrious amateur career as well, but now it's kind of a hit and miss and a part-time racer. But Zach still got the gas out there, and there's no doubt about it. He's on it today. Waynesburg, PA is home to Alex Teagarden, 309. Who's about 53 seconds back in the number 2 spot. Sean Benhart, the 45, is third. Christopher Vendetti is fourth at 36, the Fort Mill, South Carolina. And Evan Earl, the 58, out of Blacksburg, South Carolina, rounds out the top 5. Now, whenever I say Zach Nolan's kind of a part-time GNCC, I don't mean that necessarily in that way. It's just that he has other responsibilities, too, is what I'm pointing out, a job and all that stuff. So he is a true GNCC racer, there's no doubt. That's what it's all about, man. He's an everyman, that's for sure. Jesse Ansley leading the 200A class, the 329 out of Mayaca City, Florida, only 3 seconds over Chase Hayes. This is a pretty tight battle. You don't normally see Jesse Ansley under any kind of pressure unless he's got himself behind the 8 ball. in earlier situations. And if you look, you can see that he's coming from behind, because last lap time he had a 30.11 to a 30.56 of Chase Hayes. So he passed and made up 40 seconds. And passed and was able to extend to almost 3 seconds over Hayes. So Jesse Ansley's on rails out here, even in these rocks, after some early race troubles. Looks like Brandon Hayes, 5:49, is third out of Freeville, New York. We got Braden Moore out of Ona, West Virginia, the 967 in fourth, and Zachary Hugo out of Seneca, PA, in the number 5 ride. As we look next at the 4-stroke A lights, Dustin Simpson, the 353 from Mount Pleasant, North Carolina, only 3.6 second lead over the 33 of Braxton McGee out of Bolivia, North Carolina. Another 46 seconds back. We can see right now that Tristan Landrum, who got the whole shot in this class out of Nelsonville, Ohio, is running third. Hunter Shelton, the 35, is fourth. Colin Keegan rounding out your top 5. Keegan out of Hartford, Tennessee, or Sheldon out of Hartford, Tennessee. Cold Center, Pennsylvania is where Colin Keegan hails from. And that's your 4-stroke A lights bike. 4-stroke A lights, again, that is bike. Andrew France, again, leading that as we go to Dustin's. Wait a minute, I'm bumping too many buttons. Andrew France leading the Junior AB 25-plus class. He's out of Louisville, Ohio, over Nick Mellinger, the 404, about 1 minute and 58 seconds, who's out of Oakland, Maryland. Clint Masters out of Morgantown, West Virginia, 339 and third. Lucas Towering, 544 from Latimer, North Carolina, is fourth. And fifth place, Levi Kuntz, the 806 from Arthurdale, West Virginia. That's your Junior AB 25-plus class. As we go to the Vet A class now, Jedediah Haynes from Fairfield, Pennsylvania, leading Jesse Arsenal by about, almost 9 minutes. 8 minutes, 59 seconds, 0.9. So Jedediah on rails out there, no doubt, and really opening up a huge lead over Coventry, Connecticut's Arsenal. Then Joe Marsh, the 39, is third out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Ryan Emmett out of Morgantown, West Virginia, the 284. He is running in fourth. Joe Dean out of Mills River, North Carolina, rounds out your top 5. And last and certainly not least, the Senior A40-plus class with Billy Schlag. He was battling right up front in the early part of this race, and there he is still now, all by himself now out of Mechanicsville, Maryland, by about 2 minutes and 35 seconds over the 998 of Jeff Housted from Amesville, Ohio. New Salem, Pennsylvania is where Shotgun Sean Remington calls home. He's riding aboard the number 60 in third. Fourth place, the 495 of Rob Brown out of Drury, Massachusetts. He's the Afro rider. You see the rider that has the Afro on his helmet. We saw him in a shot there a few moments ago. Rob Brown out there in fourth place in the Senior A class. Frank Tussle, the 363 out of Scotch Plains, New Jersey, rounds out the top 5. That's this week's Midway report, and that's how things are shaping up as we are getting set to head into the final stretch of this 3-hour race. Right now we are 1 hour and 58 minutes in. Caleb Russell leading Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell in third, Stu Baylor in fourth, and XC2 Pro Lights Lane Michael rounds out your top 5. GNCC Live continues after this.
As riders and racers, we understand the need to get quality parts, apparel, and accessories fast. We have the horsepower of multiple warehouses to make sure your gear, OEM parts, or accessories make it to your door quickly. Check out our easy-to-use website and experience customer service that takes the whole shot. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tom along with Johnny Gallagher and Megawatt Matt Watson out and about as well, as we got great things going on here at Masontown, West Virginia's Marvin's Mountaintop and what we call the Rocky Mountain ATV Mountaineer Run GNCC. Beautiful sunshiny day, a little dry and dusty out there as far as the open field sections are concerned, but man, we've got great racing, challenging obstacles and all the good stuff that makes for a typical GNCC right here on this mountaintop. And man, what a great battle we've seen so far. Looking back on things, Lane Michael, who is an XC2 Pro Lights rider, making the statement earlier today in the pre-race interview, somebody's got to win. It might as well be me, and at one point it looked like he might actually be in contention to win the overall. Caleb Russell is now in the overall. Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell, your top three. And speaking of Ricky Russell, a breakout ride for that rider today, and Megawatt Matt Watson standing by in the MCS Obermeyer Suzuki pits to talk with his team.
That's right. We're down here with Moto Mike Brown, team manager of the Obermeyer Suzuki MCS racing team. Mike, a breakout day for you guys today. Tell us the emotion in the pits. Tell us what's going through everybody's minds and hearts right now.
Well, definitely the emotions are running high right now, Megawatt. And as we've seen throughout the year, Ricky has the ability. He's seen the top three rungs on the ladder. Now he's latched onto one, and we're looking there in third spot right now. But we've got the rod and reel out, and we're reeling in second place. So we'll see where we end up.
You guys have had all kinds of trials and tribulations throughout the course of the season, and you guys always 110% effort. To see things coming together today, to see him reeling people in, to see him working his way through the pack, what does that tell you about the program and where you're at?
Well, nobody can be more prouder than Ricky Russell than the entire MCS Obermeyer racing team. He's put in the effort week in and week out, and after the summer break, here we are, and we're looking hopefully for our best finish of the year.
Well, we hope that happens too. Mike, thank you so much, and appreciate you taking time for us.
Hey, no problem. Anytime, guys.
Back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot, Megawatt. Caleb Russell making his way through the FMF PowerPoint. You can tell the crowd is cheering him on, applauding as he makes his way by, and we anticipate this to be at least a 40-second or so lead over Thad Duvall. And interesting point that Moto Mike Brown brought up there just a moment ago in that interview about Ricky Russell. They've got the fishing pole out and the rod and reel, and they're trying to reel him in, so to speak, and they're doing that a little by little right now. 21, just barely under 21 seconds, turning about a 25-second faster lap the last time around. In theory right now, if Duvall stayed on pace and Ricky stayed on pace, these guys should be pretty close together. There is the number 5 of Thad Duvall making his way now into the Rod Garden, and we see that he's keeping a pretty good pace. Didn't attack it quite like we saw Caleb Russell attacking a few moments ago, but we did see Ricky Russell a little bit ago, last lap around, attacking pretty handily in this section. And as we come in, look at that. He has closed in to within sight. He was in within 15 seconds or so, maybe even closer of Thad Duvall right now. Ricky doing a little foot dab there, making his way through that rocky section, that rock garden. But it looks like I think he might have gained even a little more time on Duvall that time as he looked a little bit faster. Duvall's trying to play it safe here today, and you can't take anything away from that. And I'm sure Duvall's got some of his places on the racetrack that he's going to be capable of wicking it up a little bit, especially if Ricky's able to get there and put that pressure on him. But right now, Ricky's getting every bit of wind in his sails that he's needing as he's starting to see glimpses of the number 5. Right behind them now, some 30 seconds or so back, is Stu Baylor, the 514. Again, another remarkable ride for this former XC2 Pro Lights class champion and National Enduro champion. Again, we talked about the injuries and the comeback road for him, and a lot of people have written him off. And even talking with him earlier in the year, he was talking like himself that it was going to be an uphill struggle. I talked with him at the Tomahawk in New York, GNCC early in the season, and as up as he was and up-spirited as he was, he still had that little downstroke in his talk and in his speech when he was talking about how much things still hurt, how hard he had to push, and how much pain he had to push through the ride. But honestly, I think that maybe he's kind of starting to see that subside a little bit, and that's what we're kind of hoping for, because the results that we've seen consistently the last few rounds of racing for Stu Baylor have been very strong and very, very promising.
Yeah, definitely a pattern there, Rodney. No question about that. When you take a look at the results, when you take a look at the program, when you take a look at the way the chips have been falling for him, absolutely all those things are a result of the changes he's made in the program he has right now.
For sure. And right now, again, all eyes and ears, I think, are out on Thad Duvall. I'm going to actually turn on my radio and start listening for Bill Allen's updates, because some of the most action-packed updates that we get off the racetrack come in from Bill Allen. And Bill, talking to you on RacerTV.com right now. I know you've been watching a lot of this race. We've been listening for some of those updates. But tell me what's going on and what you've been seeing as of here lately. It looks like that quite possibly Ricky Russell's closing up on Thad Duvall.
I think you're right, Rodney. I think Ricky is pulling a little bit on Thad, but they seem to be staying pretty consistent right now, actually. He might have pulled up just a bit, though. Still dusty, still a lot of traffic.
10-4, you mentioned the traffic. Is the traffic starting to get thick out there?
You know what, Rodney? Everybody's pretty well spread out, and it's just consistent. It just seems like there's always somebody in front of them.
10-4. And that's a pretty interesting statement right there. So, I mean, everything's kind of settled into a pace, and that's not necessarily unexpected. It is. We are heading into the third hour. We've got those 2 hours. Now, this is the point, Megawatt, that we always talk about. This is where we start to see where the training and everything that you've done is starting to shine.
Yeah, this is absolutely where the game changes. This is absolutely where you go into race strategy. This is where you go into win mode right here. And we're definitely going to see some different things develop. But what we talk about right now is this stage in the race, you better be used to traffic. You better expect traffic. You're going to see traffic, and that's just a part of GNCC racing at this stage of the game.
There's Lane Michael, the 523. He is 5th place overall. He is leading the XC2 Pro Lights class, and he seems to be pretty steady. As we told you, we know that a couple of riders behind him right now trying to reel him in. Josh Toth, the 206 who won there on the NFAB Am Pro Yamaha last race, he's trying to reel him in. But you know, Lane coming into this race, we talk about this being a hometown. He's kind of a hometown hero to a lot of these guys, and actually Lane took the opportunity on Friday to go out to some of those school visits. You were a part of that, Megawatt, and I know that you guys had a really good time out there.
What an amazing job Lane Michael did. We talk about riders growing and maturing and that type of thing on the track and the racing. But let me tell you, I've watched that little turd grow up, and I want to tell you something. It's amazing to watch him become an ambassador and a role model and an idol to these youngsters. And the way he handles himself in front of them was absolutely amazing. Had to stop and tell his dad even yesterday, you know, known those guys for 20 years. And I couldn't have been more proud of Lane. The whole Coastal team, Bryson Neal was there, Ian Flynn was there, and everybody, Emily Streets, everybody that was with us. But you know, Lane really shocked me with the way he handled those youngsters.
A great kid, there's no doubt about it. There's the 206 of Toth making his way through. And by the way, speaking of that school visit, Racer TV crew tagged along.
Well, Rodney, you can see the response we get right there. You can see what it's all about with these kids. And I definitely want to give a shout out right now to all the students at Eastwood Elementary and everybody at Mapletown Junior Senior High School. I hope a ton of you are here. If you guys are here, find me or Chelsea. Say hello. We'd love to see you guys, that's for sure. And thanks for inviting us into your school.
Yes, for sure. We love that opportunity, and it's a great message that's sent along to that as well. A lot about bullying and things like that. And you know what's really cool? You know, we talk about the homecoming. We talk about all the cool things. We just saw Jimmy Malt in here a little bit ago. We seen and talked with Rodney Smith earlier this morning in pre-race interviews. We seen Fred Andrews here yesterday. Barry Hawk was out. We talked with him earlier. He was on the racetrack. And another GNCC great joining us. He was with us in New York, and he's back with us again now. Again this week, and we're talking about none other than the great Steve Hatch. Steve, welcome back to GNCC and GNCC Live. Now, we talked about this earlier, and I told you stop by about the 2-hour mark, because at this point I think we'll have a lot of great things to talk about.
You know, we got to call this guy the safety hatch, Rodney. I got so many people out there on the podium thanking this guy and really appreciating the time he's putting into their young careers. And, you know, like a safety net under these youngsters, man, he's providing all kinds of confidence and courage. So thank you, but I'm going to start calling this guy the safety hatch.
That's a good name for him.
I like it. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
Well, there we go right there at about 2 hours and 10 minutes. You see our leader is Caleb Russell, and I'm sure you've been following this one quite closely. And with that, Steve Hatch, I know that there's been a lot of things going on. What are you seeing, and how's this race all broke down in your opinion, and what you've seen so far?
Yeah, you know what? I was out there running around and mountain biking around, and it's definitely breaking apart. You know, with it being this dry, the rocks are starting to become looser. So as they go up the hills, it's getting scattered even worse. So I think it's going to get a lot worse, and there's no reprieve. You know, they're out there and they're just hammering every foot of the way. Besides a few of these grass track, everything is tough and physical.
It is a lot. I mean, and it gets more. So look at those rocks. That section right there. Those boulders. Those rocks look like boulders now as comparison. I mean, they were like hands, you know, like a baseball size at one time. Now they're like big as footballs, baseballs, and basketballs even. Actually, that's bigger than a basketball.
Absolutely.
There is Thad Duvall, the number 5 machine, making his way through as we are nearing the finish line now. And Caleb Russell making his way in to the finish line now. I'm laughing because our director, she's in there screaming in the headset at the camera guys, but she's also screaming at us at the same time. Chelsea's doing a great job. We do love you, Chelsea, and she's doing a spectacular job. Caleb Russell checking in. This will be for lap number 5 complete. And I'm sorry, Steve, what were you saying there?
No, you're absolutely right. Exactly. We're trying to listen to two things at once. It's awesome. So I agree. I think obviously it's going to be physically demanding like it is, but these rocks now are rolling more. It's like moving objects, and one of the things that I was watching and trying to figure out, if lines are getting easier, you throw a few rocks out and they just come right back to the center of the lane. So
is there any
not
way
only are they there, but they're underneath the silt too.
Other than just training in these rocks and just adapting to them, is there any other way to prepare for something like this? I mean, I guess it's different every time and every place you go.
Yeah, one of the tricks is actually if you can clamp and hold on with your legs stronger. So I teach the riders to actually rotate their feet in and twist them out so they're like locked in, just like in a locked-in bicycle or mountain bike. Once you do that, you actually have your feet tight to the side, and when the bike kicks around some, you're one with it and it can be tight with it. When you're loosey-goosey with it, sometimes it'll kick to the side. By the time it lands, it throws you off into the woods.
And that'll throw your center of gravity off at that time. And
Exactly.
by keeping your legs tight and your feet tucked in, your toes tucked in, I guess that like you say, it keeps you more solid on the bike, and that you're able to control your center of gravity a lot more.
Absolutely. It's kind of like a vice grip. If you take that and lock it down like your legs are vice grips and you clamp it on there, that bike's one with you. Now you have a lot more feel, and when it hits those rocks underneath the silt, because you can't see them. If you could see them, you'd know it's coming.
Yeah.
So I teach the riders definitely absolutely clamp with their legs, and when you do, that'll allow you to basically be tighter to it, arms up in the attack position, and it'll allow you to go straighter down the trail. There's a lot of stuff that wants to kick you sideways. It's not perfect, but you definitely want to have that so you can aim straight down the trail and then be ready for anything. Then you're always pleasantly surprised.
Now, we talk about that in a rocky situation. Now, that sounds like something that might be beneficial in a muddy situation, too.
Absolutely. Yep. And, one of the ironic things is Bob Hurricane Hanna was one of my heroes growing up. He's the one, I took one of his classes growing up, and he's like, he used to take sheetrock knives on the plastic and cut it into the basically gas tank, just little grooves, and put crosses in it all the way down, allowed his knees to clamp more to the actual plastic of the tank and hold them right there. Because that's the biggest thing. If as a rider moves, we either help it enhance the bike's traction or make it so it doesn't help the bike to get traction. So most riders sit too far back or get bounced around, and then the bike's kind of riding them instead of the rider riding the bike and being more precise.
Wow, man, you are an encyclopedia of knowledge. There's no doubt about that, Steve Hatch. And those are all great tips. I mean, guys that are riding that. Hey, there's Dean Van Leeuwen, the old he is the old director here at GNCC. Used to actually do all that. Had his grandson there with him. Dean is of Dutch descent, and he is called Opa.
Opa.
Opa instead of Papa or Papa or something like that. He's Opa. But good to see Dean there. But Steve, like I was saying, man, I mean, it's great to have you here and knowing this, and riders and folks at home can apply what you're talking about and see. I mean, you just need to go out and find yourself a rough section and do that. Now, let me ask you, would you use that tucking in and like that over a log section or something like that too?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're exactly right, Rodney. Once you're clamped and one with it, it allows you to stay there. So it's like you watch a bull rider, it's a great example. When they're clamped and holding in the center of the bull, life's halfway decent, right? They can stay on it.
Wow, you just made me, you just gave me about 5 spots on the track out there. Next time, I haven't even raced, and I've gained 5 spots already.
Don't tell anybody, right? So one of the tricks, though, like a bull rider, when they get thrown an inch forward or back, then they get ejected out into the grandstand. Same with the bike. It doesn't seem like it's that dramatic, but if you get off center, which is your balance, to the sides or forward and backwards, then it kicks you, and then you're starting to already have a problem. So if you can stay centered, just like a bull rider, it'll allow you to, you ride the bike instead of the bike riding you.
That's pretty cool. Impressive stuff. Right now, 2 hours, 15 minutes into this race, about 22 minutes. We'll see the leaders back in here in a few moments. And who are we seeing across that big field section? That's not one of our leaders.
No, he looked good, though. He jumped out of there and looked attacking.
Now,
there's Thad.
There's Thad Duvall, who is second place. Now, where is Ricky in relation to this right now? When they came through the finish line, we're now 5 laps into this one. So Duvall's 1 minute and 3. Oh, 9.2 seconds is how far. And we knew that gap had closed up quite a bit, and now it's just 9.2 seconds. Here's the lap time. Let's break down on this one. 26:30 lap time for Caleb Russell. 26:53 lap time for Thad Duvall. 26:41 lap time for Ricky Russell. Stu Baylor, 26:55. So they're all under the 27-minute mark right now. Stu, very impressive. Still maybe not where he wants to be as far as he'd like to be running at 26:30, but very impressive stuff going on here today. And here's a big question. Okay, we got Stu Baylor. He's got the wrist injuries and the shoulder injuries and stuff like that he's been combating with all these years and stuff the last few years. Take a condition like this. I mean, I wrote Stu off early this morning because I knew how bad things have been for him, and I hate to say it like that, but I mean, being devil's advocate, wrote him off. He's going to do okay, but he's not going to be doing like he is. But taking just what you were talking about there a few moments ago and utilizing the leg strength and his body positioning on the motorcycle, would Stu be able to use something like that to maybe alleviate some of the pressure that would be on his wrist and shoulders, you would think?
Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of teach and talk about 90% legs, 10% upper body. And obviously the guys are strong. We're all strong that ride and do the sport. But you want to use that if the front end washes out or you need to muscle it. But if you can use your legs more, they're suspension and they allow you to be clamped to the bike. So absolutely. And years ago, Caleb Russell and Stu and Grant and all the guys did a bunch of my clinics and stuff down in North Carolina. So I know they both, all of them, clamp pretty hard. But if he could eliminate some of that pressure that is on a wrist that's that injured, he's got the heart and the toughness and determination. If he could clamp and make a few other changes, that'd be good.
That's right there gives me new hope, a whole lot more
all
hope.
All of our old injuries.
Yeah, it sure does. Gives us all new hope, and especially for Stu Baylor. And I think that's translating into what we're seeing. I think, honestly, I really believe that might be what we're seeing right here today. I mean, because as tough as things are, he's utilizing that lower body strength to get through those rocks.
Absolutely. And when you're a strong rider and you can clamp real well with your legs and your upper body, but most people use just the upper body strength, not much with their legs, kind of like swimming. Most people that are strong use their arms and don't kick as much. Same with riding a dirt bike. Most that are strong use their arms to hold on, pull themselves forward, push it around. If they get in trouble, they'll use their arm strength, and sooner or later that runs out. But you think about it, I always say in my classes, how long can we stand on our legs? We could do it all day if we had to.
Exactly.
How long can you flip upside down and stand on your hands?
Not very long.
Not very long. Maybe a minute if you're gnarly. My wife can do a minute. I can do about 30 seconds, and I'm quivering. She's stronger than I am, but it's pretty neat.
That is. Well, coming into this race today, there's always a lot of questions, and you always wonder what the mindset of these riders are. And we had a chance to catch up with a few of the riders earlier this morning, and I know, Chelsea, there are several of them, and I know we talked to Caleb and Thad. I'm sure there was a couple of them that we had a chance to catch up with. So let's check in with some of the riders and see what their mindset is heading into this sort of homecoming in Masontown, this Mountaineer Run GNCC.
Awesome.
West Virginia, West Virginia.
Just a small little crash, and I ended up just running into it, sliding into a tree, and my foot was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I just kind of folded it over there, and originally I thought I broke it, and went to the doctors on Monday and got some x-rays and checked up, and I guess it was just a bad sprain, so he ended up putting me in a cast for the week, which wasn't ideal, but he said it was the best way to try and get things ready so we can race here this weekend. I just got to take it on the chin, I guess. I'm from Australia, so I have to be tougher than these Americans. Unfortunately, it was in one of the more busy times of the season, so I'll be able to race tomorrow. I've ridden around here in the grass a little bit, but until tomorrow when we go off the start line, I won't know how bad it is or whatever. So I'm going to race as well as I can and try as hard as I can, and you never know what can happen. If I didn't try and something happened, then I'd be kicking myself in the other ankle.
This is cool. I really enjoy riding the rocks, and it's pretty rocky here, and it's kind of a hometown thing for me. It's West Virginia, so I have a lot of fans in here, so it's cool. Hopefully I can do good for my family and stuff. I have a lot of them coming out, and I've been up here close to this track all week riding some rocks and stuff, so I'm really excited. I've been doing some testing, and after Unadilla I feel really confident with my bike and then my shape that I'm in, so I'm excited to go out and try to get a win. Yeah, I feel like I've riding the best I ever have, really. I raced a bunch over summer, really didn't take a summer break, and just kept pushing all summer, and I feel good, I feel strong, and I feel like that really helped me. I had some really good races over the summer to help me boost my confidence, and I come in the Unadilla, and even though Caleb really put it on us, but I felt like I rode really well with Josh, and it's cool. The bike's working good. The Husqvarna 350 is my little pride and joy. I really enjoy riding it, and I'm having a lot of fun right now for some reason. It just seems like I just got that boost of energy for the last couple races, and get through these races safe and get to 6 days.
Coming off a break, I've been riding really well all summer. I got to ride with a lot of people. I had a lot of fun, and I progressed a lot with myself physically. So I know coming into Unadilla I was feeling really good, and obviously I had a good result. It was second. It's not what I wanted, but still a solid result, and I think it showed where I was at. So definitely looking forward to closing these last 3 out. With the same intensity that I had last weekend, and definitely get some wins. That's what I really wanted at Unadilla. We were close, so just keep that momentum, roll into here, and then finish out the last 2. They're definitely probably my favorite tracks on the circuit. This is where I actually had my very first ever race, and obviously it's changed a lot since I was a little kid, and it's definitely not the same. But I think this is it's a pretty tough track. It's just always physically demanding. It may not be the roughest and gnarliest, but it's just real tough with all the rocks and all that. So it's definitely cool to be back. It's only 30 minutes, from my actual family home, so that's always cool to see all the, the family, friends, and all the fans that are close.
The only motivation I have, like I said, is I hate losing, and I like to win, and nothing fuels the fire more than someone being able to beat you. When there's competition, it's pretty stiff. It keeps me motivated and keeps me on my toes. Yeah, I know those guys are riding really good, and like I said, I just get out there and get going from the beginning and try to get away.
My motivation is I hate to lose. I like that. Caleb Russell loves to win. There's no doubt about that, and he is in the process of doing something just like that right now. And got a 1 and 3 second lead at the last check. Thad Duvall was second, Ricky Russell third, Stu Baylor back and forth. Lane Michael, the XC2 Pro Lights leader, in 5th place overall. Looks like we got Joshua Toth in the number 6 spot. Trevor Bollinger is 7th overall. That's 1, 2, and 3 in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Corey Buttrick is 8th. Craig DeLong 9th, rounding out in the top 10, Jordan Ashburn. Now let's take a look back at those top amateurs. And Steve, I know you got a rider in this one. Alex Teagarden up in New York, having a great run a couple of weeks ago. And he was closing in on Zach Nolan, the leader, who's 17th place overall in the 258 class right now. Leading that class, 17th overall. But Teagarden, we just got a report, is in the pits, and he's not very happy. Looks like his race day is over.
Yeah, sorry to hear that. Yeah, sorry to hear that. I know Alex is a great rider, and his dad and the whole family work hard at like all the families out here. But I work with Alex a lot, and he's strong mentally and physically, and the bikes are always good. So it's disappointing. But these, rocky, silty races, anything can happen, and it's not over till it's over. I know he was getting closer to Zach, and they've had a good battle all season long, and it's that's part of the racing, unfortunately.
You bring up a good point. Silt, the dust, it turns into a very fine talc powder type ordeal. Something that I know that you and lots of folks are certainly used to riding in. What is your tip about dust? I mean, preparation is obviously the key to that, right?
Yeah, preparation's number one by far because, like, even the goggles, living in Arizona, you know, upstate New York's where I grew up and still live now, but I was out there for 17 years. And baby oil on the top of your actual foam on the top of it and on the bottom will help catch more of the silty stuff from coming inside your goggles is a good one. With the bikes, obviously, a lot of these guys are running filter skins over top of the air filters. A lot of them actually can pull those off, and then it will be like a brand new air filter. And as far as riding, you try to, you know, there's going to be ruts on both sides, and kind of with the norm where the riders go. What happens then is you basically can have it so you aim at the rut where everybody goes.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it takes a lot to be able to know the conditions. I mean, know what to do in these types of conditions.
Something like that happens, we think it's you. And it just, you just, yeah, it proves it's not.
Chelsea, please. Anyway, good. And preparation, like you say, is the key to it. Know the conditions you're going to be riding in. One of the good things about some of the preparations for dust, you can double utilize some of that for mud riding. I think maybe not all of it, but I mean, there's a lot of prep that you have to do for mud riding too, as well, right?
Yeah, good point, Rodney. Those two are probably the worst conditions. You really can't see in either one. You really can't see what's underneath the mud or the silt, same difference. So you better be really on top of it as far as, you know, I always see riders out there, and they got the right idea, but if they crisscross over the deep line, one of the problems is once you crisscross over the line, there's a deep rut that you know is there that's probably a foot or 2 or 3 deep. You can't see it because it's filled in, so that's the deceiving part. But if you get in that or out of it or cross rut it, those are when you have the issues. So you almost have to either just ride right in the silt, which stinks, or totally ride out of the silt and try to crisscross it.
Yeah, so a lot of variables to work with, and the thing about it is, you think, oh man, that's just so much to think about and so much to remember whenever you're out on the racetrack. But the more you do it, it becomes second nature. You do it without even thinking, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think that's the thing. Once you kind of know where you should be or shouldn't be, you know where the higher risk factors are. So like even in the mud, like you brought up, Rodney's a good point, or in the silt, same difference. Once you get out of the normal rut or cross-rutted, so to speak, or 2 tires in 2 different ruts, then you know this is the danger zone. So you know you should be clamping, obviously, to begin with. But once you really, you know, you do it enough times, you know what's a real dangerous situation or not. What I see out here a lot of times is the riders, like I said, in that silt, it's hard to tell where that rut's buried. You kind of have to, you know, feel by, you know, braille, if you will, and try to get that instinctive know where it's throwing you around, because it doesn't go straight under there, or else it'll be easy.
Right, instincts. Yeah, and you got to rely on instincts, basically. I mean, that's probably about as good a way to explain that, instincts. And the way that you get your instincts sharpened is to go out and practice that stuff. And whenever you have an opportunity to ride the mud, ride it. When you have a chance to find a good dusty loamy or a good dusty powder burn place, go ride it. Get the experience for situations just like this.
Yeah, excellent point. Most riders don't. What do they do as soon as it's pouring rain outside or that it's silty?
They pack up.
Yep. They say, I'm not going to go practicing that. I'll ruin my bike or ruin this or that. But guess what? When you're at the race, you don't have that. Yeah, as we speak about silt
you
right
want
here.
to be able to ride in that. That's why you need to practice and stuff like that, I think, honestly.
Absolutely.
Well, right now, about 2.5 hours, actually 2:28 20 or 28:30 now, I guess it would be. Caleb Russell still leading, and we've got Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell. That's where the big race was starting to shape up there. You mentioned before you came in here, you saw Ricky Russell. I think it was going down through Pro Pits. Looked like a man on a mission to you.
Yeah, I sure did, Rodney. I was mentioning to you at break, right here, there's kind of a creek section and coming up by the trees and rocky, like most of the place. He looked like he was on a mission. He had really good lines. He was very focused. I know that he's looking ahead and can smell that Thad's right up there, so he's extra motivated, I have to guess, looking at him going by.
About 8.5 minutes out, we just saw Caleb Russell making his way through. And here, the third hour is starting to take its toll on some of these riders. So you're going to start to see, I think, more of that from the A and B riders, and maybe even some of the XC1 and 2 riders out there, because this third hour I mean, even though it hasn't been overly hot, the sun's still bearing down on these guys, so it's still warm. There is the number 5 of Thad Duval now checking in second place still. We're going to put a clock on this to see where Ricky Russell is. He was 9 seconds back at the last check at the finish line. I'm going to have to say that I think that is even more now. I haven't seen Ricky go by, unless he went by when we weren't able to see him. He may have chosen an alternate line. Nope. Here comes Ricky now. So that gap has opened up to about 20 seconds now between Ricky Russell and Thad Duval. But still, I mean, I'm tipping my hat to Ricky. I think this is probably could be considered his breakout ride here today, and I'm really excited for what the future holds for him and the rest of these guys. I mean, even Stu Baylor. I mean, the last 2 rounds of racing that he's had, these are good, solid rounds, man. This is something to build a career on, I think, for especially for Stu Baylor, knowing where he's came from and where he's gotten to so far. And I think he's done it, especially this season, in a relatively short amount of time. I mean, when I was, earlier in the year, he was consistently solid, but he wasn't consistently solid in the top 5. Now he is.
Yeah, you're right. I've been watching him, and he had a breakout ride, obviously.
Speaking of which, there he is.
There he is, yep. In Georgia with getting on the podium in 3rd. So that always builds your confidence. But like you said, Rodney, good point that, you have to be in there week in, week out. And I think he's been a little bit consistently inconsistent until coming back and, after this break. And, most of the time that's getting the confidence with the bike, with the body, and knowing it mentally that you can run that pace and really have a good start and really set yourself up for success.
Yes, sir. And just watching right now, if, let's see, when Caleb checks in 6.5 minutes or so, that will be for lap number 5 complete, and that will not put us in the 2:45 range. So that will put us more into like 2:37. So we will have another lap. We will be just a little over 3 hours, probably about 3:05, 3:08. Yesterday was 3:08 or so, or 2:08. So that's kind of making sense. So, that means a lot, too, if you think about it. I mean, it may only be 25, 26 minutes out on the racetrack, or as much as 30 for some riders, but a lot of changes can take place in that last 30 minutes.
You're right, Rodney, and I think that's one of the things. If your pit crew's been telling you, there's 3 to go at gas, and say you gassed at 3, and you think it's only going to be a 6-lap race, and it turns out to be 7, you're kind of planning on what they told you, good, bad, or indifferent. So the mental side is a big one. Sometimes if you're in 2nd or 3rd, you're like, oh, I wish there's 20 laps left, so I have time to hopefully win. But if not, and you're leading or you're up there and you're just trying to pace yourself to make sure that you have a solid one and the guys don't catch you and they're thinking it's the last lap, one more to go is a whole different mentality.
It is, and it creates a lot of mental things, and it's physical too. I mean, because it starts to wear from mentally into the physical aspect of it, and that's why you got to be strong coming into these. And that's, it's like motocross riders, they need to train for a 45-minute moto rather than a 30-minute moto. GNCC racers need to train for a 4-hour race rather than a 3-hour race, in my opinion. I know training for 3 is hard enough. I could imagine trying to train for 4.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's all relative to what you think. I remember going from the local 2 hours like most riders do to the 3 and about dying and said, that's it. So as I told you before, it's, putting it to 4 hours when I was training made 3 seem a little bit easier. So it's all relative. I remember working with Ryan Sipes and the guys doing motocross and supercross, and they were saying, oh, man, it was tough on the 2:30s plus 2 laps, which, they're absolutely pinning it. So it is. But I said, all right, if you think that's long, let's go ahead and we're going to have you do 6 30-minute motos wide open. By the time they got done with that, all of them were exhausted, but they all were so tough and mentally tough. That 2:30s didn't seem so bad after all. It's, the old saying, your mind expanded to new dimensions, never goes back to the original size and shape.
Right.
That's what I do with my riders a lot, is just really work on that mental side, of them not having that questioning which racer is going to show up, the good one or the bad one. It becomes a knowing that you've done the homework, you're ready, the race should be the easiest part.
Oh, really, Dr. Steve? Man, do you have an accreditation for that, man? I mean, that's cool. I mean, you figured it out. That's the School of Hard Knocks is what you got your accreditation from. I mean, you figured that side of it out, and fortunately for a lot of the riders, you're able to translate that to them and share that with them. And Steve, I wanted to say thanks to you for stopping by again today, man, and remind folks to catch stevehatch.com on the World Wide Web, because you got all kinds of great information on there and more information about how you can get in personal contact with you.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney. Yeah, stevehatchracing.com is my website, and I would kind of tell everybody, been there, done that, wrecked that, did it good, did it right, did it wrong, and that's how I learned, is kind of the hard knocks. But I love coaching and training and mentoring, and it's one of those things that I have all different levels of all different riding programs, from different levels financially to how much time.
Whoa! Trevor Bollinger just got past Lane Michael in this rock garden section. Now, we saw Lane actually just settling into his pace out there, and we never expected that. We talked about Trevor and just earlier in the race just trying to salvage points and stuff, but we didn't quite see that he was picking up that much steam right there. And, man, he rolled in. You look at his last lap time of 27:46. That was some 25 seconds faster than Lane. And, man, he's gotten by Josh Toth, and he's gotten by Lane Michael now. So what an amazing feat for Trevor Bollinger. And that's the rider we saw before the break. I didn't know what happened to him there at Unadilla, but voila, welcome back TV10, man.
Yep, that's how it works, huh? That's awesome. Well, he's been doing the homework over the the break, and he had such a dominant season coming in from the beginning till the break that you never put those guys out. They know what it takes, and I think we just saw it there.
Yeah, I'd like to see a replay on that if we can get that, because that was a pretty monumental point in this race, I believe. So right now, there's Craig DeLong making his way up through right now on the number 11 machine. Craig in the XC2 Pro Lights class, I think, is still running in a fourth place position, if I'm not mistaken. I did see Toth go by, I think, there on the 206 just a few moments ago as well. So they're still the same top four riders. The big change there, though, is that Trevor Bollinger has now gotten in and around the number 523 of Lane Michael. And, Lane may have just kind of settled into that pace and thought, hey, man, as good as things were going early in the race, I've got this one. And quietly under the radar, Trevor Bollinger was able to move up into the pack there. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, you're right, Rodney. That's one of those things that's pretty neat when they can have that ability. I think we're going to see a replay. Oh, here we go. Here's the replay right here. Oh, so he took the outside, around the outside, which is a nice smooth line. Oh, he's laying down.
And Lane had actually dropped it down himself. Oh, and he nearly took Trevor out, too. Trevor looks back at him like, hey, man, what was that all about? And Lane had no idea Trevor was back there. So now, what's the mindset right now? There's a sense of urgency, I would almost have to think, going on with Lane Michael. Would you think that?
Absolutely. And the other thing I was thinking, when they hit, that's exactly where his shift lever is, on that left side that hit the rear part of his tire. So that could be bent or up, down, in, whatever. Just thinking. I mean, hopefully it's not. But, yeah, I think Lane's now going, oh, no, now they're on me. Now he's going to ride with a little more urgency, potentially. Obviously, doesn't want to lose it. But in these rocks, it's a little tricky, because the more you pin it, the more the rear tire spins. And you're already spinning and hitting these rocks, which bounces you side to side even more. So it's got to be that controlled aggression, which is so hard to do, Rodney. It's one of those things that you want to go faster, so you think twist it back more. And it's actually going fast and carrying momentum and speed, which is really tough.
Well, according
to remember.
Yes, exactly. And according to timing and scoring right now, Caleb Russell may have slowed down his pace a little bit, Steve. And we're seeing just a few seconds late. We see that Thad Duvall still back there, a minute or so behind, as Caleb is now making his way into the final stretch. This should be for a white flag, if I'm not mistaken, as he's into that final couple of turns now. And there is the white flag. 1 lap to go now here at Masontown, West Virginia's Marvin Mountaintop and the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer Run GNCC. Still waiting now on Thad Duvall, that second place ride. And again, Ricky Russell, whom was 9 seconds back, and what did we see it drop back to, about 20 or so, I believe it was?
I think going up those rocks right there where Trevor went past Lane, when Lane was laying down, basically it was about 22 seconds, I thought.
So right now we just wait with bated breath. That almost looks like that might be a little tighter.
That's that. It looks a little,
well, a minute and 3 seconds sometimes can go slow and go fast. We'll see if it went slow or fast this time for us. Thad Duvall right now, 41 seconds.
Wow. All
so
right.
Here's the tail of the tape. 26:53 for Caleb Russell. 26:32 for Thad Duvall. So he's able to capture about 20 seconds, 21 seconds or so off the lead that Caleb Russell has. Now, big picture, that's not going to get him in front of Caleb Russell before the checker flag flies. Flip side of that is if Caleb is experiencing problems, say the dust has gotten in that KTM, it's choking it up a little bit, it doesn't have the power, he can't maintain the speed and the pace he's running, now all of a sudden we got ourselves a different scenario. Chances of that being the case, rather slim, but it is a possibility. It is in that realm.
You're right, Rodney. I think two things. As we both know, Caleb's going to have a bunch of pit boards tell him exactly what the gap is. But I think the other advantage that Thad has going into the last lap, close to his hometown, obviously, it's going to be lots of cheering, that extra energy, if you will. Even if you don't have it, you'll find a way.
And you got to think that might be the same case for the 523 of Lane Michael also. So there might be a couple of West Virginia boys gets that extra oomph from the crowd right here, and we'll see what how that story unfolds. I bet you both of those guys are going to have some pretty interesting things to say about this West Virginia crowd.
I bet they will. Everywhere I was going, and when they'd go by, you could tell exactly where Thad was or right where Lane was by the roar.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Those guys have really developed a great following, no doubt. So Russell and Duval are in, and so is the other Russell. Ricky Russell. Again, he is 31.3 seconds now behind Thad Duval. He turned a 26.54. Stu Baylor is in. He turned a 27.09. He's now about a minute behind the top three riders. But again, I got to say, another commendable day for Stu Baylor. Again, on the right track and really solid through those first 2 hours and solid even here into the 2.5 hour mark. So Stu's this could be heralding the coming of the new Stu Baylor, the new era Stu Baylor. You never know, man. This could be pretty exciting, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. He's obviously doing the homework, riding good. He likes obviously the bikes gelling with him, or else he wouldn't be in the top 10 in that class. So I think he knows what it takes, and I think if you can see Stu get a better start and run up there early, I totally think he can, it's one of those things, how strong you are and how bad you want it. But if you can set yourself up for a little bit easier race, will help him, because he seems like he's always coming from the back a little more than I would think would be helpful.
Lane Michael, I'm not sure how close he was to Baylor in adjusted overall time for the overall fourth place position. But I got to wonder if Trevor Bollinger is picking up the pace out there, maybe he might be putting himself a little closer to that. And if, especially with Stu slowing down a little bit, if maybe that might tighten things up as far as the overall adjusted time is concerned there for that now new leader at last check, Trevor Bollinger there in the XC2 Pro Lights class.
Yeah, good point. That could absolutely be the case, Rodney. That would be pretty exciting. I don't think those guys know, but I know they're just racing the guys in the class usually, but it's always for bragging rights overall, obviously, afterwards.
Speaking of bragging rights, that overall, we got some things starting to develop, it looks like, in our overall battle for the top amateur. Zach Nolan, 250A class leader and 16th overall, is now seeing problems out of Dustin Simpson, the 353. Simpson is your four-stroke A-Lights class leader, and you look at their elapsed time, and there's only a couple of seconds that separate. Well, wait a minute. That's a couple of minutes, not a couple of seconds. Okay, I'm looking at that. No, that is seconds. No, that's minutes. 2 hours, 21 minutes, 2 hours, 23 minutes. Yeah, so a couple of minutes, about a minute and a half or so that separate those guys. But, again, here we are. Last hour, last lap. This is the one where anything can happen. Because, you not only got to take into consideration, here's the thing, and this is something that's hard to combat, and I'm sure you've got some good reasoning, about how to attack this, but even though you yourself may be in great peak physical condition, there are riders out there on the track that aren't. So, and we've seen it in these rock gardens. They'll just be riding along and just exhausted and just fall over. And sometimes they fall over in front of some of the leaders. Or how do you prepare yourself for something like that? Is there any way to do that? I mean, you gotta, I guess probably, they always say you don't want to follow someone's line because in case something like that happens. So you've really got to be looking way ahead coming into a tough section, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the tricks is that I tell the riders and that I used, it's the last couple laps especially, because when we were doing it, when we were training for it full time, that was our number one job, the whole thing. But they're obviously sitting behind a desk or not training all the time, so the last couple laps especially, I call them swerving Mervins. They're swerving side to side a lot more. Not their fault. They're exhausted. I'd be the same way, right? Mm-hmm. So give them, instead of going by them, and I lost some GNCCs because of this, I'd go by them with 5 inches to spare thinking that's plenty. Well, they swap out 10 inches. We locked handlebars and cartwheel in the, especially these grass tracks. Both of you are hurt. So I tell the riders, try to give them 2 or 3 foot if you have it, especially in the grass tracks. Because a lot of these different riders, especially the pros compared to maybe some of the B riders, the difference of speed is drastic. So therefore also coming up on them so quickly, and it's not safe for either rider. So 1's just to give them a little more space if you have it. 2 is just to expect the unexpected. And then 3, if they do fall, try to figure out a way that you're going to get out sooner than later, because they're exhausted. They're not going to jump up and jump on like you could if you still have
figure out a
energy.
way to use them as a ramp.
Right. and usually they might be stuck for a reason, meaning they might take a while to get out of there, right?
Right. Well, this could explain a little bit. If you notice coming down through this section of track now, as we're watching Caleb Russell, we talked about his lap time dropping from a 26:30 to a 26:53, and though it's only about 23 seconds, that's monumental for somebody like Caleb Russell. But did you notice his radiator shroud flapping there?
Yeah, I think that could obviously spell that he either fell in the rock garden or wherever on his left side. So that could totally explain that 20 or so seconds that it looked like Thad had on the last lap.
Yeah, and somebody being in his position with a little more than a minute lead, you would think that he would get up, take his time he wouldn't be over excited about it, because you don't want to be in that situation. You make more mistakes. So he probably just got up calmly, coolly, collectedly, and is picking it back up and right back on pace. And we may see maybe even a faster pace than what we realize, because he looks like he's hauling the mail.
He does, yeah, and that's one of the things with Caleb. He's always so mentally strong and physically strong that he never freaks out. You never see that. He's one of those riders that just gets stronger with time and with the energy. So I think it's one of those things that's pretty neat about watching him. I tell a lot of the riders I work with now, watch Caleb when he crashes or something happens. He just gets up, deals with it, and brushes himself off and moves forward, and kind of pulls a tear off is one of the key words I use, meaning you put that behind you and you look forward.
Right.
Because if not, you keep thinking about that, and then you make more mistakes because you think about for the whole lap or the whole race.
I never even thought about
keep
that.
Looking, you got one eye
that
back
is
there.
true. When people go down, they always wrap a tear off, and I never thought, but that's a good way to just move forward now, looking forward now. There's Ricky Russell making his way through. We saw Thad Duvall going through there just a few moments ago, and it did look like that Thad was still within that 40 seconds or so behind Caleb Russell. But again, Caleb, I mean, we're talking right now, if you look at the grand scheme of things, he's got about 17 and a half minutes left before the checker flag, and he's in a position where swerving Mervins are everywhere, as you like to call them, and it's just a matter of just maintaining, I think. He has nothing to prove. I mean, he doesn't have to win by a monumental amount. Winning is a win, whether it's by 1 second or 1 minute. So if he lost 20 seconds, so what? He's got a 40-second win instead of a 60-second win.
Yeah, you're right. I think he's sharp, obviously, that way, and he has the ability to pull that without getting too much risk, where some people will try to put that much gap on just to prove a point.
That's what
Caleb does that just in case he hits a lapper or whatever. He kind of always tries to keep it a minute or two, if you know what I mean.
Is it wise sometimes to prove points, you think, like that? I mean, do you think it's better to be conservative, or do you want to go out and prove those points and gain the mental confidence for yourself at the same time trying to, I guess, take away from the mental confidence of the competitors?
Sure. At the pro level, it's all mental, I think. Everybody's fast and fit, and of course there's some that can be different levels, if you will, but one of the tricks is definitely to play the mental games. And it's how much you beat them by or go by them and pull away on the last lap, all those things. Just like if you watch bicycle racing or different ones, it's all mental game when you can leave them in the dust, if you will, with a lap to go and put 40 seconds. They'll be thinking about it for 2 weeks till the next race.
Mental games. That brings up a very interesting question about previous years in GNCC and what we're seeing today. I know that there used to be a lot of head games, as they like to call them. I mean, you guys were always trying to get in each other's head, whether it was calling somebody out and saying that you went out too far out of the line, or you went more than 25 feet. You always had those little things that you started picking on people with to try to get them in your head. Do you see that kind of thing still going on these days? I mean, we don't hear so much about it on the podium. You don't hear about it in the social. Sometimes you do. When those guys get fired up, they'll start bouncing back and forth to each other. But is there still a lot of that kind of backdoor stuff that's going on the backdoor mind games going on in the pits that used to be going on there?
I think any sport at that level, there always is. It's usually unspoken. The race speaks for itself, if you will. But you know, I know for me, you know, being always known for being a trainer and physically fit, and everybody thought that I was somewhat crazy when I was riding at times. So I bought into it and said, I'm going to put Wild One right on the back part of my pants. And then I just played into it. Like, if you think I'm wild, yes, I am. And I'll take you out if you try to pass me for the win, or vice versa. So the mental side, you sometimes have to flow with it. Even though I'm a nice guy, if that's what they want to think, then let's bring it on.
There you go. Brought on a whole new persona. That's great, man, and that's a great way to look at that. Steve, I'm really enjoying the time that we're spending here, and we're going to spend some more because we've got a race to wrap up. We're going to find out who's going to be our top amateur. We're going to see whether or not Caleb can hang on to this, whether or not Ricky's going to hang on to a top 3 overall, and what about Trevor Bollinger? Is he going to get in that adjusted time? Can he get ahead of Stu Baylor? Can he maybe get onto the podium? Stick around. GNCC continues after this.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Maxxis Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live from Masontown, West Virginia. Rodney Tomlin now with Steve Hatch at the moment, also Johnny Gallagher and Megawatt Matt Watson out and about as we are in the closing moments of this 3-hour race we are calling the Mountaineer Run GNCC. And, of course, Caleb Russell is within about 12 minutes or so of wrapping this one up if he can maintain where he's at. He did lose a little bit of time there over that last lap. We saw the radiator shroud dancing and bouncing on the side of Caleb's bike, so we know why he lost the time that he lost out there. And Thad Duvall is trying his best to gain that. I know that Steve, I know, would be more than happy to take advantage of the misfortunes, I'm sure, at this particular time.
Yeah, obviously Caleb's got the big number 1 for a bunch of years. Obviously 3 in a row. He's trying to make it 4 and looks solid for that. So, yeah, I think anytime these guys can get an advantage, that's a big feather in their hat, and it goes into the next race, you know. And I think obviously for Thad, being a hometown state would be awesome for him too.
Well, as we gather around here, you know, wow, look at that. Most of those T-shirts are all gone here at the GNCC this weekend. That means that a lot of folks really enjoying this sort of homecoming that we've got here at Masontown, West Virginia. And good to see that Moto Tees here with us, the official event souvenir supplier. Of course, if you'd like to pick yours up, all you got to do is go to mototees.com. If you're not here at the racetrack, you can do it right here at the racetrack itself on Bender's Road. But if you're at home, mototees.com on the World Wide Web, and get your little piece of memorabilia and your claim to history here from Masontown, man. Those are always cool things to take home. And even those series shirts, they've got series shirts, they've got rider individual shirts, you name it. They got a lot of different styles and colors to choose from.
Got a whole closet full still. I love them.
I took mine out one day and I piled them up. They were in a pile. Of circumference was about 8 feet around.
Wow.
And they were almost 5 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's a lot of T-shirts. And I've worn about every one of them. Now, I've got them all put away right now. I'm thinking about making quilts out of all of them, you know.
How cool would that be?
That would be to, you know, maybe grab a different quilt every night. And, oh, I remember that race. I remember that race. But those are great things to be able to have great memories. I mean, like you, I guarantee you, when you got the shirt at first, you probably didn't think a whole lot about it, but now it means a lot, right?
Absolutely. Now it's been a while, so some of them I even have as souvenirs, or my parents do. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've even got a few with you on it, man.
That's awesome.
I might have to bring them back and get them autographed. Hey, there's some of our sign-up girls down there. Who was that? Was that Megan? There's some folks down at Sign Up, and that Marty Christoph. No, that's Keith, G.I. Joe right there, man. Hey, Keith, what's going on? Pat and Pat Crow there with us. We see Miss Rita's down there. Lots of big smiles. There's Debbie Hawk. That's Barry Hawk's mom. Kayla. There is our new AMA off-road representative right there, Mr. Eric Kudla, and he comes out of the West Coast. He and Ricky Russell, I think, probably crossed a couple paths. I think he's actually from California, though. But, man, good to have him here. He raced his GNCC this morning, had a great time. And so just a great family atmosphere. There is Grant Baylor walking by. Everything okay? You okay? Just a bike? Come on over here and give us a word, if you will, there, young one. Let me get you a microphone turned on here, and I'll even let you hold that thing. Grant Baylor, we talked with you earlier, and you went back out on the track. We saw you back out there, but, man, you had some major work done to your bike. Everything all right?
Yeah.
Just try, let's see, let's try this. 1, 2. Let's try this right here. Try this headset right here. That might work for you. All right, there you go.
Yep, just busted my throttle cable, so wasn't too easy to turn the throttle on the bike, and decided to bring it back in, and then they saw that the radiator was busted as well. They got that all changed out, and I was about a lap behind, a little over a lap behind those guys, and I was pushing for like a top 20 overall and at least get some points, but I went back out there and ended up hitting a rock and busted a hole in my case and lost my oil, so had to call her a day.
Wow. And I was at a spot where your dad was, and Stu stopped and said that you'd crashed and hurt your arm, we thought, like on lap 2. So you had a crazy day, is that right, Grant? What happened on that one?
Yeah, it was just that was the same thing that happened with my my throttle cable and everything. I just washed out going down a hill, and my bike flew into some rocks and busted all that stuff up. But I'm okay, you know, just a couple of bumps, but you know, I'm fine.
How does that fire you up for next week? I mean, we're like less than a week away or a week away out, and you're going to be racing Powerline Park.
Yeah, I mean, I was having an awesome day until that, but yeah, I did pretty well at Powerline Park as well last year, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully next weekend goes better.
All right, man. Now, what do you think about Big Brother there, man? Stu's really been putting it to it the last couple of rounds, man.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty good these past few rounds. He's running 4th out there, but you know, we'll see how it ends up.
I know you'd rather be there, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'd rather be in front of 4th, though.
Yeah, there you go. That's a true heart of a winner right there. Well, Grant, I'm glad you're all right. I look forward to seeing how things work out for you next weekend, man. And good luck to you.
Thanks.
And enjoy the rest of the day. Go out there and watch that thing, man, and enjoy what the end of a GNCC is like. That's Grant Baylor, the 314 NFAB and Pro Yamaha rider. That's tough right there on riders, I think, Steve. And you can tell from you talk about the mental aspect of it, he's mentally whipped right now.
Yeah, you know, Grant's obviously a great rider, great guy, and yeah, it's just part of racing. You know, you see these guys, and I've lived it myself with a hero to zero, zero to hero in 1 week. You know, and you come off of a high of riding your best, or you know, have issues with a bike or whatever it is. But you brought up a good point, though. He only has to wait 6 days till he gets to race again and prove the point. So that's a big deal. I always was mad until the next race. If it was 2 weeks, my wife really didn't like having me around for 2 weeks as much. So he's only got 6 days to be ready for the next race and be fired up, which it looks like he will be.
I think he will be as well. And I'll tell you what, man, folks are going to have to be relying on those machines being racing 1 week apart. And one way to do that is with that great product right there. AMSoil comes out to each and every one of these great rounds that we're at, and they bring a whole host of great products. We have different area independent dealers that stop out and bring the oils, everything from racing oils to home application oils. They've even got coolants and things like that. We also want to encourage everyone to sign up to win. We talk about it here at the racetrack. You can stop by the booth and register to win. It's a 1972 Mach 1 Mustang valued at about $60,000. Now, you folks at home, you want to sign up, just simply go on to amsoil.com/muscle car. You can find out all the details about that and register to win.
Wow. I need to sign up myself.
Yeah, you do.
I would like that car in my garage.
There's a picture of it right there. I mean, that right there is kind of looks like my brother's car in a way back in the early 1970s. I remember, man, I can't stand to see that because it brings back so many great memories. You're right. I want it pretty bad, too. Sport, just under 5 minutes now, Steve Hatch, and Caleb Russell is due in to take the checkers and another win here in GNCC Racing. And I'm not sure, but I know that he is racking up the wins. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has, 35? Chelsea, you might be able to tell me a little bit better on this. Something like 35 wins to his credit already. And he has moved up a couple of notches on the all-time wins list, too. And with each win, he keeps advancing even further and further. If I'm not mistaken, I think he may have passed Rodney Smith's all-time wins here not too long ago, or is approaching that. But I'm thinking he passed Rodney Smith and is approaching the all-time win record of Scott Summers at this particular point.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
Either way,
being so young still and having that many wins, he's an amazing rider.
He is. And yeah, and man, you know, and I'm not going to take anything away from Caleb, but you know, I mean, Scott, whenever Scott first started, and I guess you guys, how many rounds of racing did you guys used to have back then? Was it 13, 10?
13 usually was the number.
Okay, so it has always been a lot of the same numbers. I know in the early 80s or something it was just a handful, but yeah, I think you're right. So maybe, yeah, that is even more impressive knowing that now and realizing that Caleb is doing it in such a short amount of time. And in reality, I mean, seeing where he found himself as a champion, you know, in a lot of guys don't find themselves in that contention until they're in their mid-20s, upper 20s, pushing close to 30 when they've really matured quite a bit. But big picture there is a lot of these guys are maturing at a much younger age now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty unique that even when Rodney won his championships, he was more, you know, he got into the off-road more like at 30, you know, 32 when he was done with motocross, and won a lot of those championships at 32, 35. I think the last one was at 40 years old.
Yep.
And, you know, they always say the endurance athletes are a little, you know, older as far as, you know, even the triathlon or marathon runners are usually in their prime and most efficient and effective as far as a body goes, which is kind of deceiving in their 30s to 40s. But you know, I think you know, Caleb's obviously been mentored and driven and knows how to win championships and races his whole life and has done a great job at it. So it doesn't surprise me. And as you can tell just talking to him and listening to him, he loves to win and doesn't like to lose, just like he'll tell you. So that always helps if you want to be the best.
It does. It most certainly does. And Caleb is due in. We are about 2 minutes or so, I think, 2 minutes 14 seconds according to timing and scorings calculations here before we should see the KR machine making its way into the winner's circle there. Thad Duvall then would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 seconds back, with Ricky Russell still another 20 or so seconds back off that pace at last check we were able to make on him. And last time through there were about 30 seconds that separate them, so 20, 30 seconds there. These, I mean, grand scheme of things, 3 hours of racing in this type of terrain, that's really pretty, even though they can't see each other, that's really pretty close racing whenever you look at the big picture, isn't it?
It sure is. You know, you think every second counts, and it's one of those things like we were talking before on the tear off. It's like you make a mistake and you're so distraught, and you're like, oh, especially for like Lane in the rock garden there. But once you do that and you see him go by, it re-inspires you also. But you're thinking, wow, here we are racing for 3 hours, like a good point, and we can finish within a second of each other, or, you know, close or battle the whole time. So I think it ebbs and flows a little too. So even if you are back, never ever give up. Your competitor could be laying in the next hill because of a lapper or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I mean, a bottleneck could pop up someplace. There's
like that.
Man, yeah, you can have things like that happen. I mean, rider just coming across, he feels the rider coming up faster behind him, and he almost went down, was able to maintain and stay up. But I mean, that could cause problems for that guy right there, Caleb Russell, who was only just a few seconds behind that little incident. Had he came at that pace and that guy sitting sideways in the trail, could have been a little different scenario and situation. He'd had to work a little harder to get through there.
You're absolutely right. And that first guy was actually, in my opinion, trying to get out of the way for the second guy that was passing him, and he happened to go right in the exact same line. So that's why he was kind of throwing his hands up like, really? I let you go and you followed me. So, you know, you never know. That. And the thing is, we don't have mirrors and we can't tell. And, you know, a race like this, you're so preoccupied with trying to stay upright and not hit all those rocks that you're not looking behind you.
So Caleb Russell right now, Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell making their way toward the finish line. Stu Baylor and Trevor Bollinger. The big question right now is Bollinger and his massive attack here in the late part of the race. Is he going to be able to capitalize and maybe make up enough ground to consider himself a top overall podium finisher here today? We'll know the tail of that tape whenever they check in for checkers. And actually, Caleb Russell due in about right now, and we see him approaching the finish line region as he makes his way in right now toward the finish line and the checkers. And another win here in GNCC Racing, and inching him one step closer to being one of the greatest, and already I'm sure is considered one of the greatest of all time. And put an exclamation point on that as he takes the win right here in Masontown, West Virginia. Caleb Russell wins the Mountaineer Run GNCC, and rolling across the finish line and just kind of casual about the whole affair. And I tell you, he is really stoked about getting that big #1 plate. Well, not #1 plate. I guess this week it's going to be the big Mountaineer. I think it's carved out of coal, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty cool trophy that these guys get to take home from this particular venue. And that's one thing that I like about GNCC that we've seen them getting back to. Back in the early days, man, I mean, a lot of those trophies and stuff were all hand-carved and handmade and stuff like that, and we're starting to see a lot of that stuff come around now. And I'm sure you got a few of the cool ones on your shelf back home, too, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it is neat that they're starting to really put it in the exact same contour of what that state or what that region is all about. So I think it's a great thing that the GNCCs are doing to make those trophies so special. And absolutely, I've got a whole trophy room and I admire, and now I look back at it and I'm proud of it, you know.
There you go. And there is the #5 of Thad Duvall. He checks in the #2 spot. 54 seconds back, a very respectable and commendable ride, and one that he is certainly going to be able to build some great confidence upon. As we wait for that third place ride, he was about 30 seconds behind was Ricky Russell, then followed by Stu Baylor. But again, our questions as Ricky Russell makes his way by is third place right now, the 2:12, 25.7 seconds back. He turned to 27:13. Right now waiting on Stu Baylor. Baylor was about a minute off pace, and as we know, we think that he's just kind of settled into where he's at, and whether or not Trevor Bollinger is going to be able to capitalize on that is yet to be answered, but it won't be long before that does happen right now as we watch the last few sections of this race course out near the 10.5-mile marker and out close to the 11, just past the 11 at the finish line region right now. So there you can see these riders going by. They're not riding with near the intensity and fever that they were early in the race. This third hour has certainly taken its toll on them. And, you know, being a weekend warrior, you don't have the opportunity to train nearly as much, Steve. And I guess the big question right now would be, what can a weekend warrior do to prepare himself for a 3-hour race like this if he doesn't have the time to dedicate himself to a full training program?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the things that they can do that doesn't take any more time, but it's being smart, is hydration, because that's a really big one for a 3-hour race. Two big keys that I'll give you. Basically, one, you should be drinking half of your water weight in ounces per day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be drinking 100 ounces, which is almost 3/4 of a gallon, just to maintain your basically hydration. And then if you go out and you ride or train for 2 hours, you should weigh yourself before. We'll use a 200-pound person just for simplicity. If you go out and you sweat a lot and in 2 hours you sweat out 8 pounds, that's about the same as a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So you'd have to drink that back in. So one of the things that most riders don't do correctly, that I work with a lot, is hydrating correctly so that you don't end up bonking and having the dehydration issues.
Well, I have picked your brain, and I guarantee it's nowhere near clean right now, is it? I mean, there's
no,
a lot
of stuff up in there.
A lot of knowledge up there. So hydration, and you know, very good point. Never thought about the aspect of it from weighing yourself and trying to re-intake that liquid that like you're talking about. Pretty cool perspective to look at it from. Also, just want to let folks know that Stu Baylor has checked in the 4th place position, 1 minute and 17 seconds back of Ricky Russell. we'll see when Trevor Bollinger checks in here in just a moment, and or if whether or not maybe Lane Michaels able to move up and get around him. He may have charged back and was able to get back around him. And the last couple times I saw, I didn't notice that had been the case. But, hey, man, that's not the first time that things have slipped by going unnoticed, especially in those final laps like that out there. And, wow, I'm going to have to think that quite possibly that's not the case, that Trevor may not be. But I thought that earlier about Lane in the overall and second place and so forth, and there he was. He was right there still after it all. This is lap number 7 that they're wrapping up right now.
There's Trevor.
There's Trevor Bollinger making his way in. He's still a little further back. Let's see. I don't see Lane back there right off point. By the way, the lapse time on the race, 3 hours and 5 minutes. I missed it by about 3.
Nicely done, Rodney. That's not too bad. We'll let you go this time.
Yeah, I was going to say 3:05 originally. I know it sounds kind of silly to say that now, but I was given a chance to slow down is what I was doing, and they didn't do so much of that.
They're training more. Here we go. There's Lane right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know the exact time, but
now Lane
like 20 seconds.
Yeah, Lane's looking still pretty aggressive, but Trevor just somehow or another has really put the gap and the distance between him. So Lane, another commendable ride, and I think some great strides forward. We saw some possibilities out of Lane at what the future might hold. I think that, hey, if he continues to ride like he has been riding and ride like he rode today, Lane's going to be a more formidable opponent these last few rounds for Trevor Bollinger, which he's just trying to seal up the championship right now. But again, I think that Lane, with what he showed today, has got the possibility of maybe pulling an overall win off. We've seen it happen from the second row before. Heck, Caleb Russell was one of those riders that pulled it off a few times himself. So maybe that since he's mentoring his buddy there, maybe he might mentor him right into the same shoes that he wore there, you know?
I wouldn't doubt it. It looks like he's been up there, obviously, the last couple of races from Unadilla to this one today, and he's riding good. It's just, a matter of putting it all together and getting just a little bit more maybe on those last lap or two, but it'll come.
So right now it is Trevor Bollinger checking in, and he is not only 5th physically on the racetrack, he is 5th overall on adjusted time, but he is your XC2 Pro Lights class winner here at the Mountaineer Run GNCC, and that will...
Oh, no, Lane just tipped over.
Oh, no. There's those tricky dust berms and things like that you were talking about. But, we've seen Lane going down a couple of times. I think that goes back to maybe the first couple laps where he was really pushing the envelope out there. Maybe he's starting to see a little bit of, I wouldn't call him exhausted, but a little tireder at the end of this race than what he would have been had he conserved himself. But it's hard to do that. Whenever you're feeling that, it's hard to conserve yourself whenever things flowing so right.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, Rodney, that's important is sometimes you have a thought that they're getting tired or whatever. Sometimes when you're in second, you're still looking with one eye who's in the lead, so you're not even presently there. So you miss maybe a little rock or root or whatever and then fall.
All righty then, Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell, 1, 2, and 3 in the XC1 Pro class. It is Trevor Bollinger, Lane Michael, and looking for Josh Toth to round out the top 3 there in the XC2 Pro Lights. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
for those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
The wrong coolant can give you bad stuff, like this and this. You need the right stuff. Evans Waterless Engine Coolant. It's waterless for a reason. Smart guys make it, and smart people use it. Don't take any chances. Get the right stuff. Go to evanscooling.com for more.
I've been with Liat for a lot of years, and I know the dedication they have for safety. When they told me they were coming out with a helmet, I signed right up.
At Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we want to help increase rider participation at your next race, rally, or club event with our free race gas program. Join Race Gas, and every rider that signs up for your event or club gets a free $10 gift card to Rocky Mountain ATV MC. It's that simple. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live as we admire this beautiful scenery that we're looking at here from Marvin's Mountaintop. Like I said, we've got so many beautiful stops on the tour, but for something about this particular one, I just love this one so much. And there you see, looking off towards Morgantown right there, and some of the beautiful landscape that we have here high atop Marvin's Mountain. And right now we are getting ready to celebrate here on top of Old Marvin's Mountain. Caleb Russell going to celebrate himself another win here today. Thad Duvall second, Ricky Russell third. Good job there by Stu Baylor as well. Very competitive and consistent run. We see him 2 races in a row, top 5 and solid. There, Stu Baylor in fourth. And we also want to say congratulations to Donald Lillian. Donald H. Lillian, I guess, is maybe it's Donald and Lillian, but watching GNCC go number 58, Evan Earl, and his podium predictions were Caleb Russell, Lane Michael, and Thad Duvall. He hashtagged that GNCC Live. Good guesses, no doubt about that. Not necessarily 100% right, but he does get 100% of the $250 in AMSOIL product that we promise him. So, Donnie, or Donald, Donnell, we look forward to you being able to utilize those great products that you have that are going to be coming to you. Also want to say thanks to congratulations to Trevor Bollinger, also Lane Michael, and while we were away, it was Josh Toth checking in 7th place overall and 3rd place in the XC2 Pro Light. So another good ride backed up there with the Infab and Pro Yamaha team that he joined late in the summer break and heading into the last part of the season. So things are paying huge dividends there for him. Greg DeLong, still haven't seen him check in yet, but we expect him in 4th place. There's Jordy Ashburn. He's in from the XC2 Pro Lights, the XC1 Pro class. He is actually 5th place in the XC1 Pro class, but he is 8th place overall right now. We are continuing to watch right now. All the way up to 14th place now is the 250A class leader, Zach Nolan, again out of Masontown. The 721 machine is in a battle for the overall top amateur today with, looks like 4-stroke A lights class leader Dustin Simpson. Now, when they checked in there a few moments ago at the end of their last lap, there was still a little over a minute. I'm going to call a minute and 30 seconds, actually, that separated them on adjusted time. And Zach Nolan had the advantage at that particular point. But again, as we noted while Steve Hatch and I were talking there over the last lap or so, that a lot of things were coming into play there. Fatigue on riders, other riders that were and could cause problems for some of the lead riders out there. So you never know what's going to happen on these final laps. We also seen that a couple of riders, even Grant Baylor, having some issues out there as he tore up the bike a little bit. We saw that there are a lot of folks, a lot of interesting little scenarios shaping up throughout the course of the day. We also saw him, whether or not he went down, I don't know, brushed a tree, I don't know, but Caleb Russell had some loose plastic we noticed there at one point. So can't say that this day didn't take its toll on a lot of people throughout the course of this 3 hours, but regardless, we got ourselves another exciting and spectacular GNCC round of racing right here, and we have I think really set the ball rolling for what's coming up next weekend, and that is the Powerline Park GNCC, where we'll be heading over to St. Clairsville, Ohio. That's a little different than normal. We normally have a break, a weekend between, but we are going back-to-back, and the reason that is because we adjusted that schedule to help meet the needs of the ISDE competitors, not only our trophy team and junior trophy team, but all the other GNCC competitors that go on all the other trophy teams and so forth, and individually that go to the ISDE. So we'll take about a 3-week break after that, and then get the final round of racing there at the end of October, just before Halloween. at Crawfordville, Indiana's Ironman GNCC. And right now we look down onto the podium. We see the Megawatt Matt Watson's getting things dialed in, and he's down with our top 3 overall. Again, Ricky Russell in 3rd. In 2nd place, Thad Duvall, and your Mountaineer Run GNCC champion right there in the center of the box, Caleb Russell. Let's head on down with Megawatt Matt Watson, who is ready to congratulate these top competitors.
Hey, thanks so much, Rodney. We're getting ready to put these guys on the middle of the podium right now. Climb on up there, Thad. Caleb, come on up there, Ricky. Let's get the class picture taken here. That is the Mountaineer Run 2016 class picture. West Virginia, make some noise. Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, and Ricky Russell. 1, 2, 3 here at the Mountaineer Run. Make sure we got everything taken care of. Are we good to go, Ken Hill? Right on. We're going to make our way over here to 3rd place, Ricky Russell. Man, oh man, talk about solid progression. Talk about motivation today. Talk about making it happen in the long run, man. Here you are up here after a, we'll call it strenuous struggle through the crowd today, man, and end up here at 3rd place overall. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just got off to an awesome start, actually, and just got a little wild in the 2nd or 3rd corner and went down and was back, I don't know, mid-pack, and it was so dusty. We were just trying to go down the hill and through the grass fields without crashing. And, of course, I crashed a few more times and just finally slowed down and picked my lines and was able to start making moves and just slowly work myself way back up. And actually saw Thad for a little bit, which was cool. But I just got into his dust and just couldn't do anything. And he put the hammer on the last lap, so he rode awesome too. And just got to thank the whole Omeyer MCS Suzuki team, Fly Racing, Scott Goggles, FMF, Unibiker, YNS Designs, Graphics, Recluse, Clutches, Bellray, Evans, Vertex, Flex Bars, my mechanic Mitch, Rod, the whole team, Mike, just everyone for helping us and sticking behind us this whole year. It's been a rough year, up and down, so it feels good to get on this podium, and hopefully the next 2 rounds we can make it happen.
Congratulations, man. Let's hear it, West Virginia, for Ricky Russell. All right, making our way over here to 2nd place now, Bad Thad Duvall. Thad, step on over here, buddy, to my left. I tell you what, you know, or everybody here knows you love the rocks. Johnny Gallagher accused you of taking a blanket out there and sleeping in the rocks last night, man, and spending the night. I know that's not the case, but tell us about the course today and how it suited you.
It was rough for sure. I was a little off on bike setup all day, and just I couldn't ride it the way I wanted to, and I felt like I had a lot more speed in me, but I just couldn't do it. You know, the old me would have pushed through it and probably ended up on the ground, but I knew, you know, I'm a little more, I think I'm a little bit more mature now, so I just slowed down and rode my own race. You know, I kind of caught up to Caleb a little bit, and he put the hammer down, and I tried to ride with him, and I couldn't ride that pace and feel safe. So I backed it down and just rode my own race, and then, you know, I just struggled all day a little bit, and, you know, Ricky ran me down. You know, hats off to him. He was riding really well, and just, you know, he caught me, and I said, you know, I ain't going to get 3rd again for the 2nd race in a row, and I put my head down and charged pretty hard the last few laps, and then, I don't know, the harder I rode, the more my bike worked better, so I wish I could have rode like that the whole race, but I just knew I wasn't able to. And about 3 miles from the finish, I just noticed I kept hearing a loud clank in my rear end, and I was getting pretty nervous when we came in and found out my rear wheel was about to fall off. So another couple miles, I don't even know if I would have finished. So, but you know, luckily, the bad luck streak might have came to an end, and I was able to get up here and finish the race. And you know, it's just it was a tough day. Man, the fans here are so awesome. I love racing hometown races, and you know, those guys kept me going all day.
Man, tell us who you want to say thanks to, dude. Listen to these fans behind you, and you got a huge team behind you. I know a lot of people help you out, and a lot of people you need to say thanks to.
Yeah, Rocky Mountain ATVMC, Frank and Chrissy Keegan, you know, with the KR4 team, Amsoil Products, Moose Racing, Scott Goggles, CD Boots, DQ my mechanic, my dad, my mom, my wife, just everybody that made it happen today. You know, it was cool, and you know, Max's tires hooked up all day and stuff. So, you know, it's cool. You know, big thanks to Timmy at Husqvarna, and you know, the Husqvarna 350 worked awesome today, and you know, he helps me out a lot with the bikes and setup and stuff. So, hats off to him, and hats off to all the fans out. You guys are awesome. Thanks.
Let's hear it one more time for Bad Thad Duvall, you guys. All right, now make some noise for this guy right here, Caleb Russell, defending national champ, overall winner here today. Caleb, man, not an easy day at the office for you by any means.
No, it's you know, it's easy as it may look sometimes. You know, it's never easy. So Man, it's it was a tough day. The track was pretty brutal, and these dusty hard pack conditions, they really take a toll on your body. You can't see, and you're hitting stuff, and you're kind of bouncing off everything, and it's just one of those days you got to be patient. And I got a terrible start, and I was really impatient on the first lap, and I took some chances and made some stuff happen. I got in a second. And I thought that was Stu leading, but I guess it was Corey Buttrick.
Right, yeah, Corey Buttrick.
Yeah, he was riding really good, and I caught up to him, and I could only get within about 10 seconds, and then that lingering dust, it kind of held me at bay, and I finally caught him. There's about a 1.5 2 mile section that was not so bad, and I caught him there and made the pass. And then I just tried to maintain the rest of the day. It was really tough, like I said, with the conditions, the rocks, and they just kind of come out of nowhere, out of the ground. You kept digging them up every lap, but I'm really happy to get the win, and one step closer to wrapping this thing up.
We naturally can't see the whole track on the monitor, but looked like very few mistakes for you today. Have a real clean ride?
Yeah, I had a really clean ride going until the second to last lap. I made a couple small mistakes and tore my shroud off pretty much, and but yeah, other than that, it was a good day, and I kept it on 2 wheels for the most part, and I had fun in the beginning, but I was over it by the end.
How about this West Virginia crowd, man?
Yeah, they're awesome. It's always good coming up here. There's always a bunch of guys that love racing and know what it's all about. So thanks to all the fans, and I gotta thank my team, FMF KTM, Tanner, CD Boots, Scott Goggles, Bell Helmets, Red Bull. Like I said, all the fans, my wife, my family. Thank you.
Congratulations, Caleb. Let's hear it, Masontown. Put your hands together for these guys. Right now, one of my favorite times, man. Hand these guys these bottles. They know exactly what to do with them. Also getting the whole shot is Ricky Russell. As soon as he pops that bottle off, we're going to present that check to him real quick. All right, that's what we like, fan participation right there, huh, Nick Kester? Getting involved now. That's what GNCC racing is, up close and personal, man. Everybody gets a drink down front. Hey, Ricky, while we got you standing there, man. Ricky, while we got you standing there, let's present this check to you, buddy. While we got you standing there. That's our XC1 Bike Whole Shot Award, courtesy of All Balls Racing. An extra $250 in your pocket. Congratulations, Ricky.
Yeah, like I said, I got off to an awesome start. The Suzuki start's awesome, and just got to the first corner, but went a little wide, and then the third corner went down. So it was a good start though. We've had a few this year, so just hopefully keep it going.
Right on, man. We'll see you next week. Mitchell, we'll see you next week, buddy.
Sir, we'll be there.
Right on, man. Congratulations to all these guys. We're going to reset the podium, get our XC2 riders up here next.
All righty.
When it comes to protecting your engine, AMSOIL offers the next level performance truck owners demand. AMSOIL provides 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, extending the life of pistons and cams. Give the vehicle you love the above and beyond fortification it deserves. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Max's Tires.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATV MC, our goal has always been to get you the best price and provide quality service. Now, we're giving you one more reason to shop with Rocky Mountain. We call it Quick Cash. It's simple to get. Just place an order with a qualifying Quick Cash item and get cash to spend on your next order. Try it out today. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live as we are celebrating in Victory Lane here today at Marvin's Mountaintop, and this, the Mountaineer Run GNCC. Again, a special thanks to our friends at RockyMountainATVMC.com, our title sponsor here this weekend, and a huge part of what our AMSOIL GNCC series is all about. Round 11 today of a 13-round series. We'll be back in action again next weekend as we'll be rolling into St. Clairsville, Ohio for a huge tradition as far as GNCC is concerned. concerned with the Powerline Park GNCC. Hoping to see all you race fans over there next weekend that are here with us in Masontown. And those of you at home on the World Wide Web, if you can get there, I would suggest that you do so, because it's going to be a great time as we are about ready to celebrate on the podium as our top 3 XC2 Pro Lights riders make their way up onto the top of the box. It was a very eventful day, no doubt about it. We saw a lot of great things and a great battle and great race. Josh Toth ended up taking third, Lane Michael in second, and Trevor Bollinger one step closer to that XC2 national title. Right now, the hardware being handed out down on the podium with Megawatt Matt Watson, as these guys are all about to celebrate. And I know there's a lot of great questions that are going to be posed to these riders, and this has certainly been a very challenging day, and each one of these riders have risen to the occasion. There's no doubt about that, and every one of these riders I think we can expect to see even bigger and better things out of as we push toward the end of the championship, because it seems like they each one in their own way, shape, or form have something to prove. And when you're at this juncture of the championship and you're riding the way that you are and you're trying to prove something, there's a good chance that might happen. Megawatt, let's talk about the celebrations down on the podium. It's Max's Victory Lane.
Hey, thank you so much, Rodney. Down here on the podium right now, hey, West Virginia. Make some noise right now for these XC2 guys right now. Trevor Bollinger with the win. Got our man Lane Michael in second place, and over here in third place right now, Josh Toth. Josh, tell us all about this ride today, man. Here you are back on the podium.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier to be back up on here. That was my whole goal for today, was get back on the podium and stay consistent. So I'm happy with the way I rode, and hope to stay up here for the rest of the year.
I tell you, man, you look pretty fresh. You look like you're in good shape, man. Do you have something left in the tank at the end?
Yeah, I probably could have pushed a little harder at the end, but you don't know until you're done. So.
I know one thing. Here you are, man, completing this podium for XC2. Some of the roughest conditions we've seen this year. You got to be pumped, and I know there's a bunch of people that believe in you helping out, man. Who do you want to say thanks to?
I'd like to thank the whole NFAB, AmPro, Yamaha team, all the mechanics, especially Ryan and Lucas for helping out a ton. Everybody that helps out the team, sponsors the team, and Steve Hatch, working with him has helped out huge, and getting me on this podium definitely helped me.
Awesome. Congratulations. Hey, you guys, make some noise right here. Third place today, Josh Toth. An amazing ride by this young man right here. Now, over here, Lane Michael. Lane, step on over here to my left, please. You told us the other day, you said, hey, you know, we're going out there, we're going to ride for the win, we're going to ride as hard as we can. Somebody has to win. And let me tell you something. You came out, you set a blazing pace. Holy cow. Everybody in the whole place just absolutely stunned. What exactly transpired out there throughout the course of laps like 3, 4, and 5?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the best starts, but kind of banged around and got up front early. And it was pretty tough with the dust. I think I got in the top 3 and made my way into second behind Craig, and then I passed Craig in the field. So, I pushed pretty hard, and, I didn't have arm pumps, so that was a big key. And, I got up pretty far in the XC1 guys and had a good pace going. I had a gap about a minute 15, and it stayed there for, 3, 4 laps. And I saw it drop down to 55 seconds there, and then, I kind of got tangled up in some lappers, and then I saw Trevor go by me, and kind of caught me a little off guard because I just got a pit board 2 miles saying 55, and then I got caught and passed. But he was riding well, and I tried to stick with him, and he had another gear. So it was all right. It's frustrating again, to be so close but yet so far. But I rode well again, and we showed some speed, so that's always good.
Hey, man, could you feel the energy of these fans cheering as you were coming by? Were they helping carry you through the front?
Yeah, it was good. The first 3, 4 laps, when I was up front and even leading, everyone was cheering and, pretty pumped that I was that far up. So definitely the fans are always cool when they get into it, and then especially when you can hear them, it just kind of boosts your confidence a little bit to make you push a little harder.
Lane, who are we going to say thanks to today, buddy?
Yeah, I got to say thanks to Dad for, all the work he does on the bike. My whole family that came out, my cousins, aunts, my grandma, and everyone. And then I got to thank the Coastal Racing Husqvarna team. They've supplied us with some great bikes, and I'm making the best of it. And MSR, Bell helmets, Scott goggles, Garnet boots, Bel-Ray, Dunlop, Factory Connection. Everyone else that puts effort into this team. I really appreciate it, and can only go up from here.
West Virginia, let's hear it for your very own Lane Michael here, second place today. Going to make our way over in the middle of the podium. Okay, one more time, put your hands together. Let's hear it for this guy, TB10 right here, Trevor Bollinger, coming through the pack like a man possessed. You look like the Tasmanian devil coming through that pack, dude. You had your head down. I thought you were going to pull the cable out of that throttle, man. No stop left in that thing. Tell us about it.
Just another one of my bad starts, and this is absolutely the worst place to get that. And I was just fighting seeing all day. I was behind Grant and Jordan, and I would catch them in the woods where I could see, and then in the fields they would just pull me again. And that's when I got by them is when I started really putting the hammer down. I had a full clean lap where I didn't have any dust, and that really helped me a lot. It was good. I had something to prove after Unadilla. That was probably one of the worst rides I've had, and nothing happened. I just had a bad day, and it feels good to be back on top.
I got to ask you, man, how was Big Red running? When you come by the finish line, man, it sounded like Easy E had this thing on note, man. Did he?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Hey, tell us who you want to say thanks to today, but a lot of people in your corner making this stuff happen for you.
Oh, yeah, my whole team, Johnny, Eric, Thomas, Brandon, just all my family that comes, my grandpa, the whole JCR team is awesome. I couldn't wish to be in a different place, and Fly 100%, Alpine Stars, IMS, Lucas Oil, Brenthal, Cherubies, BRP, DID, Works Connection, Throttle Jockey, Motion Pro, and anyone else, Maxxis Tires. They were great today, and anyone else, thanks.
Hey, Trevor, congratulations to you, the entire JCR team. Let's hear it one more time, West Virginia, for your winner here today, Trevor Bollinger, Lane Michael in second place, and Josh Toth in third place. Now, Trevor, you know what to do with this thing right here, man. We're going to hand you this bottle. These kids down front look really thirsty to me, man. And matter of fact, the boss looks a little parched out there, too. The boss looks like he needs a drink, man. All right, West Virginia, one more time. Make some noise, man. All right, since we can't make noise, we'll take that. That's all right. All right, congratulations to all these guys right here. Trevor Bollinger with the win. Lane Michael, second place today. And, of course, Josh Toth with another podium finish. Third place today. Congratulations to you too, Josh. We're going to get our top amateurs and Johnny Gallagher up here in just a moment.
All righty, there you have it, folks. There are your top three in the XC2 Pro Lights class. And what a great battle. As so many things were proven here today. As once again, congratulations to Josh Toth. Also, I want to say, Lane Michael, congratulations to you. And Trevor Bollinger for pulling it out in the end and taking that win there in the XC2 Pro Lights class. And what a great day, man. And we're not done. We got top amateurs that we're going to be talking to. We kind of followed these guys all day long, on and off, and we were talking about one of the literally hometown boys of where did he go? I'm trying to make sure that he's still in the top standings there. Now, I believe that we may have had a little bit of a change there. Oh, no, I tell you what it is. I tell you what it is. I'm not looking at the overall. Okay, there. That looks a lot better as we got now more than just XC2 Pro Light riders in there. It was Zach Nolan, Masontown Zone. Yes, he's going to get the overall top amateur today. Dustin Simpson will score a second place overall from the 4-stroke A Lights class, and third place top amateur today would be Braxton McGee, who finished second in the 4-stroke A Lights class. As Braxton McGee out of Bowlville, North Carolina. So congratulations to all those top three. The AmericanCargoes.com presentation coming up here with Johnny Gallagher and Megawatt Matt Watson here in just a few moments. Actually, we got a Hot Cams Whole Shot Award that we're going to be handing out here as we head back down with Megawatt Matt Watson.
Hey, thanks, Rodney. We got Craig DeLong with us right now. Craig, getting off to an early lead right there. Got that XC2 Bike Whole Shot Award courtesy of Hot Cams. Got an extra $100 in your pocket. Tell us about the rest of your day, my man.
Never really started after that. I just rode super tight and never really loosened up until after I pitted, and then after that I started making some time up, and got a pit board last lap that I was closing on third, and then ended up running out of gas. I guess I missed my pit stop. I didn't really know they were going to pit me. I didn't see anyone waving a gas can, so I thought to keep going. So I ran out of gas about 3 miles from the end, pushed it a good ways before I got some gas, and then I don't know where I ended up, so kind of disappointed, but it happens.
Hey, I know that you and your pops work really hard, man. I know you guys will go back to the drawing board, and we'll see you next week for sure.
Oh, yeah, we'll be back.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your Horse Shot Award.
Thank you.
See you next week, my man. We're going to reset our podium right now, get our top amateurs up here. We're going to hand the mic over to Johnny GNCC right now. Mr. Johnny Gallagher himself going to make his way to the center of the podium, going to hand out the awards today for today's top amateurs. Thank you, Johnny.
All right, as they get things sorted out down there on the podium and get our top 3 amateur riders up there, I want to again remind folks that next Saturday and Sunday we'll be live on RacerTV.com. Estimated around that 1 o'clock hour once again, Eastern Time. Will be for round 12, the penultimate round of the 2016 AMSOIL GNCC Series, and one step closer for a lot of folks to the championships, and some may even be in the process of wrapping up championships when we head down there. So it's going to be an exciting time at Powerline Park as you're going to feel the electricity rolling through there. There's no doubt about that. And speaking of electricity, we got a lot of it down there on the podium right now as we continue with our celebrations. It's the American Cargo's Top Amateur Award. Take it away, Johnny.
All right, folks, West Virginia, let's hear it for your top 3 overall amateurs. Third place, Braxton McGee. Second place, Dustin Simpson. And your overall amateur winner, Zach Nolan. All right, we're going to start down here with you, Braxton. Not the first time we've seen you up here this year, but it's been a little while. Tell us how the day went for you and how you ended up here today.
Yeah, it was good. Got a good start and got off in the woods, and it was really dusty. And I was just riding a good pace and then fell, and a bunch of them passed me, and I caught back up, and I caught back up to Dustin, and we were just having a good little pace going there, and then I went to go pit and didn't get enough gas and had to pit again the next lap, and then my rear brake started going out, and I just couldn't do anything with it then.
Well, it sounds like a day filled with challenges, but you were able to overcome them all, get up here today. I'm sure there's a lot of people you want to thank for help getting you up here today.
Yeah, definitely God first. Maxis, Motivations Racing, Fly, Fox Shock, Rental, AXA, Dixie Fuel, HBD Graphics. I guess that's all I can see right now.
All right, folks, let's hear it one more time for him. Braxton McGee, your third place overall amateur. We're going to work our way down here to a name that some GNCC fans may not be familiar with, but certainly not a new name to GNCC Racing. It's been a while since we've seen you around here, and it sure is good to see you up here. How'd the day go for you?
It was all right. I think I got in the woods maybe third and got around Braxton and Tristan, and just try to put my head down. And like I said, Braxton caught me for a little bit, and just put my head down and try to finish it off.
So a lot of fans that aren't as familiar with you, this is not your first rodeo in GNCC Racing, but obviously to be up here, it's got to feel great. I know a lot of hard work goes into this, and I'm sure a lot of people that helped you along the way.
Yeah, I want to thank Armor Graphics, Fuel Clothing, Carolina Cycle Solutions, Yamaha Lumberton, Roger at ProMotion, and Dixie Fuel, and most of all my dad, Sandy.
All right, folks, let's hear it one more time for him. Dustin Simpson, your second place overall amateur rider here today, and we work our way right here to the middle of the podium. Zach, we've seen you up here a number of times. We'll let the crowd do a little cheering. You can tell he's a local boy, and when we say local, we mean local. Like, you really couldn't get any closer to home, could you?
No, about 10 minutes.
So I would imagine, it was a long drive in this morning. You were probably tired by the time you got here. The fuel prices are just through the roof, killing you this weekend. Obviously, we got a little bit of traveling money from you here for you here from American Cargo, and it looked like it was a pretty uneventful day for you. You were up there all day. I know you were up inside the top 20 early, and you just kept charging all day long. And did it go pretty easy, or obviously this is a challenging course, although the conditions are familiar for you? How did it go for you?
Well, I love this kind of terrain. It's hard and technical, and I always seem to do really good in it. And I was glad my bike, I got a good start, and I was into the woods first ahead of all my class, so I didn't have to fight through that dust. I just had to fight through the next classes, and I just kept pushing and pushing. And I know T Garden was catching me, and he was reeling me in there towards the end, but I couldn't push no harder because I didn't have no one to push with.
It was you guys actually had quite a battle going on time there, and like you said, you guys were back and forth. He ended up having some problems and wasn't able to finish. But nonetheless, I mean, for you to go out there, put in the ride you did, like you said, I saw that whole shot. You were out front from the very get-go, and you looked like you were on a mission today.
Yeah, it was good, and I just kept my head down and kept charging. And my pit crew kept me updated on my time, so I knew what I needed to do to make it happen.
So when you grab the lead early, you charge all day. At the end of the day, you get to stand here in the middle of this podium. You get the check, you get the trophy, you get the medal, you get everything else that goes along with it, and a big cheer from this West Virginia crowd. Let's hear it one more time for him, folks. Zach Nolan. Now that is definitely a partisan crowd, no question about that. We're going to give you a chance to thank all these people out here and all the people that help you make it happen.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank my mom and dad. I want to thank my girlfriend Amanda, Levi Kuntz for everything he does. Todd at Teely Energy Racing, all the Teely Energy crew, the riders, the boys that pump me up and get me excited, cheer me on, help me out. Spider Graphics, Bill Daly at Outlaw Motorsports for all the good parts that he keeps stocked up on my bike for me. Factory Connections, suspension worked great, no complaints. Grenade Coatings and Richie Stone at Stone Paving. And I'd like to thank anybody else that helped me.
All right, folks. I got to ask you, what's this on your bar pad here?
It's push hard, ride smart.
Well, you did that today, and it paid off for you. Folks, let's hear it one more time for all three of your overall amateurs. On the end, we got Braxton McGee in third, Dustin Simpson in second, and Zach Nolan, the overall amateur winner today. And that's back to you, Rodney.
All righty, thanks a lot, Johnny, and great job. Congratulations to all you top three there, and welcome back, Dustin Simpson, man. Good to see you back on the track, and good to see you on the podium today as well there in second place. And again, folks, it was Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, and Ricky Russell taking top honors here today from Masontown, West Virginia's Mountaineer Run GNCC. That's going to wrap it up on behalf of Johnny Gallagher, Megawatt Matt Watson, and, of course, stepping in there last, Mr. Steve Hatch. I want to say thanks to you for tuning in, and also thanks to the crew, the TV crew, RacerTV crew, again, for another exceptional job. Our producer, Miss Chelsea Taylor, technical director Dan Reinhardt, and also new technical engineer, Mr. Michael Heston, did a great job. Editor Dylan Gauntly, glad to have you aboard, as well as Josh Selesky. Andrew Mahey, that's Gloop for you folks that know him, Tyler Wind, and also Jamie Snyder, our camera operators today. We're powered by Yamaha generators, and with that, we say goodbye.
Hey, folks, want to